Yo, hold on. What's up, my gamers in Christ? How are we doing today? There's the music. Today, hold on. Can you guys hear it? It's supposed to be the sounds of Morrowind. There we go. Listen to it. Listen to its beauty. Its majesty, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we're playing Morrowind. We'll be finishing Front Mission 4 on Monday, but for now, we're playing Morrowind, ladies and gentlemen. And this is gonna be the game for a while, okay? You wanna know why? Because I've got the Tamriel, the mod that adds a bunch of Morrowind to it, and I will be adding the Skyrim one and the Cyrodiil one as well, so get excited for that. Gosh, just listen to that beauty. It's something to behold. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna let the streams know that I'm alive. Do a little self-promo. It's never bad to do a little self-promo. And after we are done self-promoing, we will go live. So I think that's pretty exciting. I don't know why I shared the link twice, but it's there. That's always good. Anyways, let's go into the main Discord and share. Do a nice little at everyone. Now, I don't think the copyright gods will get the Morrowind music, since it's like a game music, you know, and you can't really play the game if you don't have the music. So I think we're in the clear. I think we are in the clear. There's a few more places I need to share the link, and then we'll get started. That's about it. That's all I can remember. Anyways, let's get to talking about what we're gonna talk about today. Obviously, we're gonna watch the Jack Smith testifying. I think that's gonna be a really fun time, and I think I have some valuable commentary to add to that, because these guys are hold on, let me turn down the music just a hair though. I'm not gonna touch it too far. By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, gets me boosted out there. And if you guys disagree, let me know in the chat, you know? I love hearing your guys' opinions out here, okay? Now I think I made it a little too quiet. Hate when that happens. Anyways, we're gonna watch that, and then we're also, if we have time, gonna watch this piece by Warfronts about Greenland, and then after that, if we have time, we have familiar face Nick Fritas, who has left our corner finally. Now it's Nick Shirley. Lots of Nicks going on there. But if we have time for that, he's talking about how apparently the people of Greenland they really want to be independent, supposedly, according to Nick Fritas, who's just well known throughout the land for being very, very smart. No, he's not. He's a complete dumbass. A doofus, if you will. Much like our friend Nick Shirley. Anyways, guys, hope you guys are doing well today. Not sure how long the stream's gonna be. Definitely, probably 3 hours, our normal time, but, anyways. Yo, what up? How are you doing, Liam? Hope you're doing well, gamer. Hope you are doing well. We'll probably get started here in about 5 minutes. Once we hit the 10-minute mark, then we'll get started. This isn't my usual time when I stream, so usually I'm live at 10 a.m. CDT. Obviously, it's 7 p.m. CDT right now, so probably get a new crowd into our viewership here, which I'm excited for. By the way, thank you guys so much for the likes. Every like and sub counts, so I really appreciate that, guys. Keep it up. I'm a liberal that does news and politics every... You like Republicans or Democrats? Well, I am a Democrat, and I think most Democratic policies are extremely beneficial to the wider population. And unfortunately, while I would love a functioning Republican Party, we just don't seem to have that right now, because it seems the Republican Party has completely sold their soul to DJT, you know? And that sucks, because I would love a functioning Republican Party, let me tell you. Anyways, we'll get started here in about 3 minutes. About 3 minutes. By the way, if you guys disagree with me, feel free to join my Discord. I do call-ins, just let me know in the chat, and oh my god, I think the music's a little loud. I'm gonna turn it down just a hair. But feel free to call in and let me know why I'm wrong, you know? No pressure though. If we got some keyboard warriors, that's totally alright. We love the keyboard warriors, we do. Anyways, I'm gonna actually get started. If you take a look in the middle right corner, that's our gamer box right there, and that is going to be where you will see me play Morrowind. I'm gonna start a new game here and get us started off. One moment, I gotta switch headphones real quick. Now, I have no idea. Hold on. You guys are probably getting dual audio. One moment. Unfortunately, here, I'll turn this off while the beginning plays. In the waning years of the third era of Tamriel, a prisoner born on a certain day to an uncertain parents was... Yeah, we're a prisoner, by the way, guys, if you didn't know. Unfortunately, we're a bit of a prisoner. Nothing new though. Nothing new. I don't know if I can skip this actually. I don't think I can.
They have taken you from the Imperial City's prison.
For some reason,
First by carriage and now by boat. To the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have
at least we have
chosen.
someone watching over us right now.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up.
All right. Now everything's fine and dandy because you guys shouldn't be getting any audio now. Sorry about that. That was a little jarring that that just happened. Anyways, let's get into. Might as well start our trial here, because it is gonna be quite a long video to get through. So I'll turn off the statistic here. Again, very shocking statistic in my opinion. All right, let me get that. We'll get chat up. And now we're good. We're good to go, ladies and gentlemen.
January 7th, 2023, Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House. 16 days later, Jack Smith issues a subpoena for his phone records. Phone records from 2 years prior for a 2-month time frame, Election Day 2020 to January 7th, 2021.
I don't really want
Jack
to
Smith
hear
and the Biden Justice Department get the phone records of the top Republican in government, the guy second in line to the president. They know who he called.
With us,
These
with America.
Shits, but I'm cool with hearing
Aquilino
from Jamie
Gunnell,
Raskin,
Daniel
of
Hodges, and Harry
course.
Dunn, and I thank them for being here today. Mr. Smith, thank you for appearing before the American people. I'm glad that the committee has finally granted you the same chance to report your findings to the American people that every other special counsel investigating an American president has had. The good chairman started by saying, it's all about the politics. Well, maybe for them, but for us, it's all about the rule of law and who's going to stand by the rule of law and who's going to oppose it. Now, Mr. Smith, you're one of America's great prosecutors.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. It gets me boosted out there in the algorithm. Sorry, I don't mean for the screen to go dark on you guys. My apologies. My apologies.
For nearly 3 decades, you worked for justice under both Republicans and Democrats. The Manhattan DA office, where you prosecuted sex crimes and domestic violence cases. The Eastern District of New York, where you prosecuted murderers, rapists, gangbangers, and other violent criminals. Leading the public integrity section at the Department of Justice, you brought prosecutions
Jack Smith
against
is an
corrupt public
apolitical
officials
individual.
across
He's
the
not-
political spectrum.
You know, what
When
you're
you
going
went
to
to that-
see is in this that the Republicans are not going to attack the conclusions Jack Smith has made. You'll notice that because they can't contest the conclusions. The conclusions are very decisive, you know. What they're going to contest is some small procedural things, which, in my opinion, are quite petty. So that's what you're going to see, unfortunately, from this this hearing, at least from the Republican side.
The Hague as chief prosecutor in the Kosovo trial. You prosecuted war crimes and crimes against humanity perpetrated against thousands of innocent victims. While others may have devoted their lives to corrupt self-enrichment, you have devoted your life to the rule of law and to public service. You've never been prosecuted for anything. You've never been convicted of anything. As far as I can tell, you've never even been the subject of a disciplinary proceeding over the course of your multi-decade career. But Donald Trump says you're a criminal and you belong in prison. He says you belong in prison, not because you did anything wrong, mind you, but because you did everything right. You pursued the facts, you followed the law, you stuck with extreme caution to every rule of professional responsibility. You had the audacity to do your job. Everybody here knows what you did wrong in Donald Trump's eyes and why he says you belong in prison. You found, and I quote from your sworn testimony before the committee, you found proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the results of the 2020 election and to prevent the lawful transfer of power. When asked whether you believe the evidence was enough to obtain a criminal conviction against Donald Trump at trial, you had a one-word answer: yes. When asked if Donald Trump was responsible for the violence that took place at the Capitol on January 6th, you said, Our view of the evidence was that he caused it and that he exploited it and that it was foreseeable to him. You found that Trump knew he had lost the election. How? Well, his own Attorney General, William Barr, repeatedly told him so and described all of Trump's theories as BS. Trump's top campaign advisors told him he lost the election. Vice President Pence told him he lost the election. More than 60 federal, state, and court decisions, including 8 rendered by judges he appointed to the bench, rejected every outlandish election fraud and corruption claim that he made. Trump himself even privately acknowledged it, gesturing to Joe Biden on TV and saying, quote, "Can you believe I lost to that effing guy?"
The results
knew he
were
lost,
accepted by
but he
Republicans. Amen. Exactly, dude. Veterans against Trump. Hey, that's what I like to hear. FAFO is against, ladies and gentlemen, FAFO here is against the Constitution. He wants a 4th term for Donald J. Trump. I mean, that is un-American, ladies and gentlemen. Where do people get off in saying crazy stuff like that? You know what I mean? It's honestly just sad. But, anyways, let's continue. Hold on. I need to take this.
Threw everything into his big lie, which some people, even in this room to this day,
GA
will
found
stand by.
Who's GA? Who's GA found they rigged the election? I never saw that. Trump won. See, like, we can accept when we lost, but for some reason, they continue to believe this lie that Donald Trump has told them that he won the election somehow. Now tell me, if we were going to rig the election, why would we let him win this the next time? Isn't that kind of weird? Isn't that kind of strange? Georgia? Oh wow, Georgia. Really, Georgia, the one that was basically praying to the heavens above that Donald Trump won. Wow, I can't believe Georgia said the election was rigged. Why didn't any other state say it was rigged? I wonder.
And swear by. Well, when the big lie wasn't enough to convince officials like Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, a Republican, to commit election fraud and just fine Trump 11,780 votes, when it wasn't enough to convince Trump's DOJ to, quote, just call the election corrupt and leave the rest to me and the House Republicans, when it wasn't enough to force Vice President Mike Pence...
There was no inciting of violence. Did I say there was an inciting of violence? But you guys gotta argue with Jack Smith about that one, man. I'm sorry you guys don't trust somebody who prosecuted war criminals in The Hague. Could you imagine that? The gonads it takes to say, you know what? I think you're wrong, Jack Smith. That's so embarrassing, man.
To announce and then exercise
He
lawless
tried
powers.
to overturn the election by sowing doubt, sowing deceit, saying that he won and he was the rightful leader, and that's against the law, dude. I'm sorry you guys can't wrap your head around that one. I think it's pretty simple, though.
To reject electoral college votes and use counterfeit slates to anoint Trump the winner. That's when
One moment. Your screen is going to go black for just 5 seconds. All right, here we go.
Trump incited mass violence
the court case against
on January
Trump.
6th.
He actually
While more
won
than 140
Arizona, too,
officers
I'm
were
sure.
being brutally assaulted by Trump's mob, while rioters beat them with flagpoles and sprayed them with chemical agents.
See,
and
that's how you know I'm winning the argument, is when the opposition, all they can do, because they are unable to contend with your points, is just say, you're retarded, which I take as a compliment. Thank you. Elections were rigged. How? How were they rigged? Who rigged them? How did they rig it? Why don't you tell me the exact mechanisms that went into them rigging it? No, they didn't rig it, my friend. You guys just don't like the results. But I don't like that Donald Trump won, but I'm not out here saying Donald Trump didn't win the election. Now, am I? Weird about that, huh?
Crushed them in doorways, and while they chanted, "Hang Mike Pence," and chased the vice president out of the Capitol, Trump and his team worked the phones, calling not the National Guard, which was under the direct unilateral control of Donald Trump, but calling members of Congress, urging them to delay certification and to nullify the election results.
There we go. Now it's updating.
Special Counsel Smith, you pursued the facts. You followed every applicable law, ethics rule, and DOJ regulation. Your decisions were reviewed by the Public Integrity Section. You acted based solely on the facts, the opposite of Donald Trump, who now has purported to take over the Department of Justice. He's in charge of the whole thing under his unitary executive theory, and he acts openly, purely based on political vendetta and motives of personal revenge, and he doesn't deny
Democrats will not win the presidential election for the next 15 to 20 years.
The special counsel's review of
Trump
toll
is
records,
helping America?
which are
I
phone
failed
records
to
like a
see how
phone
he's
bill,
doing that.
showing only the timing and duration of calls
If
and containing
anything,
no
Donald Trump's succeeding in terms of our enemies. You know, our adversaries love Donald Trump. People like Morrowind activists, Morrowind activities. Damn right, damn right. But I'm also a Morrowind activist. I think the Argonians deserve a lot more representation than they get. I really do. Our conversation about Elder Scrolls Politics the other day has actually inspired me. By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out our channel. Little tip for Democrats: voters earned, not imported. I believe what you mean to say was voters bought by Trump.
no content, no substance whatsoever from the calls, but those records were lawfully
MAGA, where
subpoenaed
willful
because
ignorance
Donald
and
Trump
cognitive
made
dissonance
those
meet.
members of
Amen,
Congress
dude.
relevant to the investigation.
Amen,
It was
but we're
Trump
trying
who
to
chose to
enlighten
call
them.
them
We'll get 'em-
to advance his criminal
We'll
scheme.
enlighten
As
them
you
someday.
testified,
We
Mr.
will.
Smith, if Donald Trump had
They'll
chosen to
start
call
listening
a
at
number
some
of
point.
Democratic senators, we would have gotten toll
But until
records
then, all we
for
can do
them
is,
too.
is battle them.
I trust our colleagues get the point because
field of
America
ideas.
certainly gets the point. There is much Mr. Smith still can't talk about, though we know he badly wants to. His investigation developed what he calls powerful evidence that Trump stole documents containing our country's most sensitive secrets, hoarded them in the ballrooms and the bathrooms of his well-trafficked Mar-a-Lago social club. He showed them off to visitors,
that would
and then he
trigger him.
obstructed a federal investigation
It's this, a
by
wooden
instructing his
staff.
attorney to
I'll
pluck
take a
out
wooden
anything
staff.
really
That sounds
bad
sick.
before turning materials
how
over
did
to
he have a
FBI
shield
and
and
having
a
his
staff?
staff
That doesn't
delete
make much sense
incriminating
here.
security tape footage.
Must have
But
had
today
big
we're not going to hear a
hands.
lot about that because you are gagged by an absurd judicial order rendered faithfully by Trump's most servile and sycophantic appointee to the federal bench, Judge Eileen Cannon. This order not only blocks release of Volume 2 of your report, which is unprecedented, about the classified document scam, it also gags you from discussing the report or its contents with us, with America.
Trump
And so
has
we don't
made
know.
America home to pedophiles, not the strong, not for the bold, not for the brave, only home to the PDF files. Amen. I mean, that's very true. It's sad to say, but it does seem as though, he is very embracing of the pedophilic elite. The Epstein class is what I like to call them. It is the Epstein class, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on, I gotta fucking fuck this skeleton up, dude. Ooh, get wrecked. Oh god, they can open doors. No? No, no. No, you close that. Indeed. Yeah, it's very sad. No more forced transgender operations for school children. Well, I would love to know who was doing that. That's crazy. I've never heard of that before.
What's in it, but it must be pretty devastating because Donald Trump is desperate to keep Mr. Smith or any other DOJ official for all time from ever releasing it to Congress and to the American people. Now, Mr. Smith, if any of our colleagues foolishly choose to attack you and vilify you today, and I know that's not going to happen from some serious prosecutors over there like Mr. Knott and Mr. Schmidt, who understand what federal prosecutors do and what the rule of law means. But if anybody decides to attack you personally, they will only be revealing their own ignorance of what prosecutors do and their own indifference to what the rule of law requires in America.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. It helps me fight against the waves of MAGA that flood my chat from time to time. You know, it really is waves. Hold on, did my game just crash? No, okay. Whew, I thought my game just crashed. I was about to be one salty cracker.
They will only be stroking the wounded ego of a lawless, twice-impeached, convicted felon president who not only unleashed a mob against Congress and his own vice president, but is now pardoned and released into our communities hundreds of extremists, insurrectionists, and cop-beating felons who have proceeded to commit dozens more crimes against the American people since they were pardoned. Mr. Smith, I understand you are a long-distance marathon runner. I read that you're a triathlete who's done more than 100 triathlons and 9 Ironman competitions. You are in the fight for justice and the rule of law for the long distance, for the long haul, and I thank you for that. And we should all try to follow your example. America looks forward to your testimony today. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman yields back without objection. All of their opening statements will be included in the record. We will now introduce today's witness. Mr. Jack Smith was appointed as special counsel on November 18th, 2022. He served until January 7th, 2025. We welcome our witness today. We'll begin by swearing you in. Would you please rise and raise your right hand?
Warrior of freedom right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief, so help you God?
I do.
Epstein
Let the
class
record
indeed.
reflect that the
What
witness
files?
has answered in the affirmative.
What
Thank you. You can be seated.
What are you talking about? What files? You know damn well what files we're talking about. What that lying ass Raskin says doggy football. Do you have a channel where you play football with dogs? That's kind of cute, actually. The Epstein class and the rich and powerful probably have way more overlap than we'd expect. Oh yeah, that's why I call them the Epstein class, because they're so rich and they're so powerful that they don't play by our rules, you know? And I think that's fucking disgusting, honestly. You know, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you get a free pass to commit crimes. Hey, thank you, Starboy Knight, for the hearts and everything. Much appreciated.
Please know that your written testimony will be entered into the record in its entirety. Accordingly, we ask that you summarize your testimony. Mr. Smith, you may begin.
Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Raskin, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss my work as special counsel. I love my country and believe deeply in the core principles upon which it was founded.
Yeah,
For nearly
I think
3
it's
decades,
disgusting some of the narratives MAGA has tried to tell about this guy. This guy is a true fucking patriot in every sense of the word, and I can't believe people would try to essentially get, you know, try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Disgrace his name Get the cell block S ready for Demon's Crap. What does that even mean?
I've served as a career prosecutor in both Republican and Democratic administrations.
Hakeem begging for money? What are you talking about? That was somebody from Hakeem's firm, not Hakeem himself. And let's see what else. I don't know about Plaskett texting him. I mean, if she was doing that, I think that's bad, but I don't know much about that. You seem to be a pretty big expert about it, though, Doggy Football. Why don't you tell me?
I've handled cases ranging from domestic assault and gang violence to public corruption and election crimes across the United States, and I've prosecuted war crimes overseas.
I'm sorry, Doggy, but if you think that the DOJ isn't hiding the files because of Trump, then you're tripping. The Democrats are the ones begging that the files come out. What are you talking about?
I am not a politician, and I have no partisan loyalties. My career has been dedicated to serving our country by upholding the rule of law.
Okay, you can talk all about Plaskett texting Epstein to get dirt on someone, but you can't deny your guy is literally all over the files. Like, you can't deny that. That's just a fact. Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Throughout my public service,
Unfortunately, a lot of people want to be rich and powerful, oppressing the poor and marginalized. IMO, almost no one who wants that, who supports the Epstein class, are to be trusted. Well, hey, the Epstein class seems to really enjoy Donald Trump, so...
my approach has always been the same. Follow the facts and the law without fear or favor.
Put two and two together, it makes
Experienced prosecutors
four. You know
know
what I'm saying?
that specific case outcomes are beyond our control. Our responsibility is to do the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons. These principles have guided me through my career, including as special counsel. I'm proud of the work my team did, and I appreciate the opportunity to appear here today to correct false and misleading narratives about our work. During my tenure as special counsel, we followed Justice Department policies, we observed legal requirements, and took actions based on the facts and the law. I made my decisions without regard to President Trump's political association, activities, beliefs, or candidacy in the 2024 election.
The fraud way.
President Trump was charged because the evidence
obviously Donald
established
Trump really
that he
doesn't have
willfully
an
broke
issue
the
with
law.
fraud, ladies and
The very
gentlemen,
laws
or else
he took
he
an
wouldn't
oath
have pardoned
to uphold.
somebody for fraud.
Grand juries in
For
two
fraud, not once, but twice, ladies and gentlemen. He loves fraud.
separate districts reached this conclusion based on his actions, as alleged in the indictments they returned.
Dude, Donald Trump is like
Rather than
fraud's
accept his
number one
defeat in the
supporter.
2020 election, President Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the results and prevent the lawful transfer of power. After leaving office in January of 21, President Trump illegally kept classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago social club and repeatedly tried to obstruct justice to conceal his continued retention of those documents. Highly sensitive national security information was held in a ballroom and a bathroom.
LOL, stay mad. Deport them
As I
all.
testified-
Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. I don't know. Biden may have pardoned some people for, marijuana-related charges and stuff like that. All I know is Donald Trump pardoned a bunch of rioters that tried to destroy our democracy. So, I don't know, man. Seems a little uneven, in my opinion.
Before the committee today, I want to be clear. I stand by my decisions as special counsel, including the decision to bring charges against President Trump. Our investigation
there we
developed
go.
proof beyond a
There
reasonable
we
doubt
go. He went
that
against
President
him.
Trump engaged in criminal activity. If
You're
asked whether to
wrong.
prosecute a former president
Genuinely,
based on
I've
the
never
same
seen
facts
someone
today,
more bipartisan than
I
Jack
would do
Smith.
so
And the
regardless of whether
narrative
that
spinning
president
just
was
to
a
smear his
Democrat
name
or
is
a
actually
Republican.
insane person activity.
No
I
one-
know. Here,
No
hold
one
on.
should be
That's-
above the law in
That is
this-
a great point you bring up, Benzo Scarlet. It's just so sad too, because this dude really did like serve his country, and he knew he was gonna get a bunch of hate, but he had a duty to his country. And so I think it's sad not to listen to him, because he obviously loves his country, you know.
This country, and the law
Dims.
required that he be held to account, so that is what I did. To have done otherwise on the facts of these cases would have been to shirk my duties as a prosecutor
Absolute patriot.
and as a
Amen.
public servant, of which I had no intention of doing. I remain grateful for the counsel, judgment, and advice of my
Oh
team.
yeah, Trump pardoned the fucking second biggest drug dealer, the owner of the Silk Road. But he also pardoned the president of Honduras, who got caught smuggling 400 pounds of cocoa over the border. So,
President Trump has sought to seek revenge against career prosecutors, FBI agents, and support staff simply for having worked on these cases. To vilify and seek retribution against these people is wrong. Those dedicated public servants are the best of us, and it has been a privilege to serve with them. After nearly 30 years of public service, including in international settings, I have seen how the rule of law can erode. My fear is that we have seen the rule of law function in our country for so long that many of us have come to take it for granted.
amen.
The rule of law is
Fucking
not.
man. I think that is so fucking true. Excuse me. We have come to just think the rule of law is natural. Ladies and gentlemen, it most definitely is not. And your institutions are the only reason that you guys have it the way we have it, truly. He loves America for what it is, not for what he wants to make it into, like MAGA are trying to, right? That's why I think Make America Great Again is such a disgusting slogan, because, oh, bye. This live stream is a waste of time. Thank you. I appreciate that coming from a MAGA.
Self-executing. It depends on our collective commitment to apply it. It requires dedicated service on behalf of others, especially when that service is difficult and comes with costs. Our willingness to pay those costs is what tests and defines our commitment to the rule of law and to this wonderful country. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we will now proceed under the 5-minute rule. We have votes coming in any minute now, but I think we'll have time for 3 or 4 members to get their 5.
This, but it's real scummy to have them do the vote now before they even hear the testimony. I mean, you know what I mean?
5-minute question in before the committee will take a recess to go vote. They are not going to close the vote until we get there. I know that much. So we will start with the gentleman from
By the way,
California.
if you
Recognized
guys
for
are
5
enjoying
minutes.
the stream, please don't forget to like and subscribe.
Good morning,
It really
Mr.
helps
Smith.
out the
When
channel,
Attorney
gets
General
me
Garland
boosted out
appointed
there.
you, he cited the particularly sensitive matters at issue and extraordinary circumstances as the reason for appointing a special counsel. What did you take that to mean?
What I understood that to mean is I was to conduct an independent investigation and come to my own conclusions about whether the facts and the law supported a
I
prosecution.
keep getting
But clearly he was
spam
alluding to the
calls.
fact
It's
that we
so
had
bad.
an investigation into a leading candidate for president. That was part of the extraordinary circumstances. Would you agree?
Portland in the chat, fuck ice. Hey, hell yeah, dude.
I will
They're lame
rely
as
on his
fuck.
public
I just
statements
subbed.
about
Thank
that.
you so much. I appreciate
I
that.
understood my role as special counsel was governed by the regulations which required me to make an independent decision on my
So
own.
certainly you would agree it was important to approach the investigation with humility and restraint. Is that fair?
Yes, and that's what I sought to do. I sought to
And
conduct...
you thought you possessed those qualities. In fact, you testified at your deposition, quote, "I thought I was the right person for the job." Of course, some disagreed. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley, for
can
example,
listen to this
has
guy
said,
for a little
quote,
bit.
"Jack Smith has a reputation for stretching criminal statutes beyond the breaking point." I
Democrats
assume you
always
disagree
made the
with that
USA
statement
worse.
by
Is that
Professor-
why the deficit was only the budget has only been balanced under Democrats? Isn't that interesting?
Turley?
I don't care for
I do
Jack
disagree with
Smith
that
at all. Well, unfortunately, we're going to be watching a lot of them. So if you don't like Jack Smith, this may not be the stream for you.
statement. I think my career speaks for itself. I have been...
But that statement was also, and I'm sorry to have to interrupt, I just have a short amount of time. That statement was also echoed by the United States Supreme Court in a unanimous opinion in McDonald versus the United States, where the court overturned convictions that you had pursued against a former governor, criticizing your boundless interpretation of the federal criminal statute. At issue, that opinion was joined by Justices Ginsburg, Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan. So do you also disagree with that statement by those justices?
I have conducted my career in a nonpartisan
don't like
fashion.
Jack talk,
That
can you call
particular
it a
case, the
hearing?
legal position...
Well, apparently to them they can. Yeah, they try to interrupt them left
the
and
department
right.
took.
It's so
That wasn't my
sad.
personal position. That was the position of the department.
I see. So, Mr. Smith, I've had the opportunity during my time on this committee to review the work of two special counsels, John Durham, appointed during the Trump administration, and Robert Hur during the Biden administration. And in both cases, they seem to exhibit that humility and restraint that we talked about. But in reviewing in detail the way you conducted this investigation, I see a very different mode of operation. One that sought maximum
By the way, if you
litigation
guys
advantage at
aren't
every
enjoying the
turn,
stream, please
one
remember
that
to like and
repeatedly
subscribe.
circumvented constitutional limitations to the point that you had to be reined in
Trump
again and again
Nation.
throughout the process. For example, shortly after you became special counsel, you issued a subpoena for the phone records of the Speaker of the House of Representatives over a 2-month period,
Apparently
along
I'm
with
sick.
for other senators and representatives, even though the public integrity section at DOJ cited litigation risk to doing this. What was that litigation risk?
With respect to the toll record subpoenas that we issued, they were approved by the Public Integrity Section. The Public Integrity Section, in approving those subpoenas, noted the fact that the subpoenas were for records for people who were not targets of our investigation.
But they said there was a litigation risk and you moved forward with it anyway. And not only that, but you also sought orders from judges making it so those who were having their records seized would not know about it. And you even didn't tell those judges that it was members of Congress.
See, look, they can't get him on the conclusion because his conclusion is based as fuck. Alright, I gotta cure my disease here. Apparently I'm diseased.
Whose records you were going after in apparent
now I'm
contravention
getting
of a
what's
federal
going on.
statute saying that a telephone provider for a Senate office shall not be barred from providing notice that the records had been requested. Now, if you sought to do that
FDR was the
today,
best
would you be able
president,
to get away with that? With
along
asking
with
the judges for a non-disclosure order without telling them these
JFK. Next up.
are members of Congress?
When we secured these toll record subpoenas, it was done consistent with department policy. You're correct in that that policy has since changed.
They changed the policy based upon the actions that you took.
But he was going by the policy at the time. So what is the point of bringing this up?
You issued a
Very
gag order against
interesting.
President Trump that the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals vacated as overbroad. Is that correct?
Well, the D.C. Court of Appeals, in passing on that order, found that it was justified. They narrowed the order, but they confirmed that the
They
phenomenon...
narrowed the order because it was overbroad. In addition to that, you sought an early trial
This
date
is
that
up
the
with the
district court
corporation
rejected.
that's funding them is closing their doors. Yeah, I know they voted themselves out of existence, but that doesn't mean that you guys are gonna quiet their voices. You know what I mean? I'll still be, you know, if there's one donator to PBS, that's me. If there's 0, I've died.
And when you presented your prosecution memo to Attorney General Garland, it's been reported that he was visibly unimpressed and expressed First Amendment concerns. So, Mr.
I
Smith,
couldn't
looking
believe
at the
what
record,
Trump
I see
said
that you were
yesterday.
reversed.
Hold on. Let me see. In front of the world, he said Europe would be speaking German or Japanese if it wasn't for the U.S. This isn't a troll on the internet. Trump is going after his enemies, other Americans who disagree with his lies, get people to lie for him to pay, to lie for pay. PBS is always based. We love PBS out here. Public-based station.
And rebuked by the Department of Justice itself, by the Attorney General, by the Solicitor General, by multiple district court justices, judges, by the Court of Appeals, and by the U.S. Supreme Court itself. So my final question is, do you believe that you made any mistakes? Do you have any regrets as to how you conducted this investigation?
If I have any regret, it would be not expressing enough appreciation for my staff who work so hard in these investigations. We followed the facts and the law. These people who work for me sacrificed endlessly and have endured way too much for just doing their job. So if anything, I wish that I had thanked them.
Time of the gentleman.
No mistakes. There's that humility. Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Yeah, time of the gentleman.
Oh my goodness. Listen to that crybaby. No mistakes. You didn't say. Basically, he's chastising him for not saying Donald Trump wasn't wrong and Donald Trump is God. What a crybaby. Who is that? He, you know, I guarantee his chair is up for election. Good luck on that guy.
That's right. The chair now recognizes the ranking member for 5
Well,
minutes.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the good gentleman from California,
The host doesn't know anything about history. Yeah, you're right. I know nothing.
knows, because he was a student of mine, that lawyers go to court and sometimes they win motions and sometimes they lose motions, and there's no crime in any of that. And I'm just sorry that you had to be lectured about humility and restraint by a politician, because we might not be best poised to lecture you on those particular virtues. But let's go to the toll record, since that's been raised, Mr. Smith. First of all, Congress has allowed toll records to be subpoenaed. This committee has actually tried to limit it over the years, and the senators who are whining the most over...
the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. MAGA on history is always good for a laugh. Yeah, I know. They're like, you don't know history, man. And then just tell you some of the most unintelligent dribble you've ever heard in your life.
On the Republican side in the Senate, they never went along with our determination to try to limit the government's ability to subpoena toll records.
You think FDR and JFK are the best presidents? They were. They kicked ass, dude. FDR brought in Social Security, and JFK started the space race, which fueled a man going to the moon. So who wouldn't say that? The host only believes what Democrats say. Well, that's not true. I believe Republicans like Thomas Massie are typically truthful. While I disagree with them on a lot of things, I think they're typically pretty truthful.
So it's perfectly lawful what you did. Explain, why did you want those toll records?
We wanted to conduct a thorough investigation
slavery was definitely more of a Southern thing, for sure. That's why they fought so hard to keep it. Oh yeah, for sure. Teddy Roosevelt's a good one too, for sure.
Assigned to me, including attempts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power. The conspiracy that we were investigating, it was relevant to get toll records to understand the scope of that conspiracy, who they were seeking to coerce, who they were seeking to influence, who was seeking to help them.
And that's normal investigative practice, right?
Are you
in
okay?
conducting-
Hold on. What does this mean? Are you wearing the dictionary of states that Democrats and its supporters are more dumb than prehistoric handicap apes with Down syndrome? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Lamau, where's the Democrat fraud that you're seeing, by the way? Defunded public safety by 8.4, leading to Denver being number 2 in the USA for violent crime. I'm sure. That makes sense. What are we talking about? Democrat fraud is huge. Here's a very specific example that didn't really, I mean, 8 million is not that much, man. I hate to tell you, but I don't even know if what you're saying is true. I feel like you're kind of lying. But I should never
a criminal
attribute
investigation,
malice.
securing
Never attribute malice where
non-content toll records, as you
ignorance is,
described,
to
is
blame.
a common practice in almost any complex conspiracy.
Okay, let's go to something else that I've been hearing over the
Minnesota
last week by our
fraud? Did I
colleagues
say
as
that?
they've
No,
eagerly
my friend. I said
anticipated
Democrat fraud
your
isn't
arrival
real.
here. They've been saying
There
that
was fraud in
there's
Minnesota.
some kind of
but
First
Biden
Amendment
and
defense
Waltz found it.
that Donald
luckily.
Trump would have had to the crimes you indicted him for. Is there a valid First Amendment defense to defrauding the public? Is there a valid First Amendment defense to disrupting a federal proceeding? Is there a valid First Amendment defense to violating the voting rights of the people and cheating the public out of a fair election?
The First Amendment is something that we took seriously in our investigation, but the First Amendment does not protect speech that facilitates a crime. Speech that is used to facilitate a crime, a fraud crime in particular, is not protected under the First Amendment.
Joe Biden?
The Supreme Court
Amen,
precedent
brother.
on that is clear. This is an issue
Or
that
sister.
we litigated before the district court, and the district
Or
court
anything in between.
ruled, as I just stated, that it is not in fact protected.
And the case law is perfectly clear on this, right? All frauds are perpetrated by speech, right?
Yes.
All conspiracies are perpetrated by speech. So just because your criminal conduct is brigaded with speech doesn't somehow mean you've got a First Amendment defense against trying to overthrow the government. I mean, the people who attacked the police officers on January 6th were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." I suppose that was political speech, or they were saying, "Stop the steal." Does that mean they've got a First Amendment defense to violent assault against the officers?
It does not.
William Barr, by the way, was somebody who was perfectly clear about that. Donald Trump's own attorney general said there's no freedom of
You
speech.
guys are just crying about Jack Smith because he concluded that your guy tried to interfere in the election. Now, unlike you, we accept when we lost, but unfortunately, you guys, you can't accept when you lost, so this is kind of the result, unfortunately. This is all your guys is doing, sadly. Jack Smith 2028. Hey,
Speech
there
that
we
you
go.
have to engage in a conspiracy to overthrow an election, to commit crime. He was perfectly clear about that. Back in those days, in fact, lots of people on that side of the aisle, including my good friend, the chairman, denounced the violence that took place on January 6th. The cat's got their tongue these days. My friend Chairman Jordan said, what happened last week was terrible, is tragic. It's as wrong can be, he said. Republicans, we know all political violence is wrong. I asked my friend Chairman Jordan at a rules hearing, are you also not interested in what happened to us on January 6th? He said, of course, everyone's interested in holding people accountable who did wrong. The FBI is doing that. The Justice Department is doing that, appropriately so. What do you think about the attack on the Department of Justice and the special counsel for doing your jobs?
I think the attack is unjustified. I think the people who worked with me as career public servants are people, they're part of the reason I've been a prosecutor for so long, is to work with people like that, not just the prosecutors in my office, but also the agents, FBI agents who are heroes, who have served their country not only as agents, but also overseas. I think those attacks are unwarranted based on the facts, and I think
It's been 10 minutes. Are you still crying? LOL, what a dork. Damn, that guy is dedicated to my channel. That might be one of my #1 fans right there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what he did to time that. Do you guys think he set a timer and he's like, okay, I hope he's doing well? That's some dedication, man. I appreciate it.
have no basis in who we are as Americans, as a country. I don't see attacking people like that as anything appropriate.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back to you.
The gentleman yields back. Mr. Smith, is Cassidy Hutchinson a liar? She was their star witness. January 6th committee, their star witness in one of those staged and choreographed hearings.
Dude,
they
and this
paid the
chairman,
former president.
God, he's such a dweeb. Remember, this is one of Trump's #1 polishers here. He's an embarrassment, truly. And he has one of the most ardent positions. He is he's head of the Judiciary Committee, so... But what a shock, you know. Back here he is, polishing the dome of Donald Trump. No shock there. No shock there, though.
President of ABC News to put together. She was, in fact, the only witness at this special prime-time hearing.
We're going to
Tuesday.
skip ahead a little, see who's the next man. Oh, this guy's got a sign.
Think of multiple cases of prominent members of Congress that we investigated who were Republicans, who, upon reviewing the law and the facts, I decided not to go forward in those cases. And the same could be said with people on the Democratic side. I've always tried to follow the facts and law in my career.
When it comes to deciding whether to pursue
people after they're done, I mean, for my fellow Americans, you know, I really... Oh, shit. Did my game crash? Oops. That's not good. For my fellow Americans, you know, I just see them as getting tricked. I don't necessarily see them as evil people. But I do hope people like... in Donald Trump's orbit get persecuted, or not persecuted, but prosecuted, dude. I mean, it's ridiculous, the lies they've told the American people. God bless America. Amen. I love this. I love this. The host is skipping when Jack Smith gets caught in his lies. No, I'm skipping the dome job, he gives to Donald Trump.
a criminal
Not Jack,
prosecution
but
of
I
an
always
individual?
forget its name
What
'cause
factors
it's
do you
kind of
consider?
forgettable.
The primary factors are the facts and the law. As a federal prosecutor,
ban people,
in
so
making
you're
a
in luck.
prosecutorial decision,
Only
you're
time
guided
I'm
by
out
the
if they're
federal
being
principles of
racist or
prosecution,
homophobic, so-
which guide one not only to look at the facts and the law, but the federal interests. And that is exactly what we did in this case, as set forth.
By the way,
in my
Project
final
Pat, are
report.
you seeing what I
Does
have to
partisan
deal with
politics
on a
play a
daily
role in your
basis?
decision whether
This is my persecuted. I meant prosecuted, my friend. But you can read into that if you want. I mean, it's pretty fitting for you guys.
or not to prosecute someone?
I think, see, Just Me is literally one of the most anti-American people. You can see he wants an entire section of the country's representation to be arrested. Why? Oh, they were just mean to him. They were just big meanie heads. The poor Donnie boy. Poor Donald.
None.
To be clear, did partisan politics play a role in your decision to charge Donald Trump?
It did not.
What does it do to the justice system if political leaders
Listen to that. It did not. Smith had no jurisdiction to even. No, he was appointed to a special counsel. He had plenty of jurisdiction, my friend.
Place pressure on prosecutors to file charges against their
I
political
like
enemies.
them poorly educated. Trump. He did say he does like dumb people. That is a real quote.
What are the implications if prosecution decisions are based on politics, not the law?
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining.
I think it
love
weakens the
seeing
rule of
MAGA
law in
soy
our
out in my
country
chat. It's
because
very
it
fun.
weakens the mechanism for us to prosecute,
Sir, you
among
are
other things,
delusional.
corruption.
I don't think so.
When there is political prosecutions targeting people because they're enemies of the president, the department loses credibility and it can't do its job in all sorts of cases.
According to your deposition before this committee, it sounds like your problem was not determining if you had enough evidence to charge Donald Trump, but rather that you might have had too much evidence and struggled to determine how to present a clear narrative to a jury. How would you
Donald
characterize
Jeffrey Trump? Amen.
the evidence against Mr. Trump about inciting an insurrection against the laws of this country? Did you have too much?
Well, with respect to presenting the case that we charged, one of the central challenges was trying to present that in a concise way because we did have so many witnesses. Some of the most powerful witnesses were witnesses who, in fact, were fellow Republicans who had voted for Donald Trump, who had campaigned for him, and who wanted him to win the election. These included state officials, people who worked on his campaign, and advisors. I will say, however, with respect to the charge of insurrection,
States of America. Hey, I do love America, but we are turning incredibly fascist, and it's so sad to see because this nation was founded on such good principles, and for these people to just give them up is so sad. Trump is in Morrowind? He is. I think we'll find him at some point.
we did not charge that. As I set forth in my report, well, I believe that there is, courts have found that that was an insurrection and that there's a reasonable interpretation, a reasonable prosecutor could interpret the evidence to support that charge. I chose not to do that, looking at the facts in the law. I thought the charges we brought were appropriate, given the evidence that we had.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your decades-long public service and for working tirelessly to uphold the rule of law. Those who attack and smear you and your team in order to protect Donald Trump should be ashamed of themselves. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Smith, do you see criminals to my left? You don't see any. Do you see people who are committing crimes because they continue to believe things that just aren't true?
So their entire argument is that Trump is so stupid that he believes that he actually won the election. Guys, I seriously want you to think about their arguments right now. It's so embarrassing. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there. We're on the road to 500 and we're getting ever closer to our goal.
Paraphrasing Ronald Reagan, that liberals aren't stupid, they just know things that don't happen to be true. If the president believed that he was cheated in an election, that there was fraud, or in some other way a number of items led to his defeat, when in fact he should have won according to the Constitution, does that make him a criminal?
Sir,
No, that's a yes or no, please, Mr. Smith. These people here are continuing to grab.
Listen to this guy. No, I didn't. Like, you have to let him answer, my friend.
Grapple constantly with things that aren't true, like socialism works, or that somehow everything the Republicans
Dude, what is he talking about? Somehow socialism works. Like, bro, he obviously had like a special interest of the week and wanted to work it into his deposition or whatever it's called here, but unfortunately it's just not hitting, in my opinion. It's like, bro, can we talk about something else?
do is evil and everything they do is right. They've never reached a conclusion in a
He's
typical
spiraling.
partisan case
Who
in
is
which we're
this
not
loser?
evil because we think something different and we're not wrong. You understand the Constitution.
Make Jarl
Do you
Ulfric
understand the
Stormcloak
Bill of
Lord
Rights,
Alten
that someone
pathetic and
has
he's got
the
Trump?
absolute right to believe something,
sort
whether
of,
it's
yeah.
true or not, and to
Basically.
advocate for something, whether it's true or not? Do you understand that in addition to your oath to the Constitution, that that's one of the things the First Amendment allows for, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you know that people have a right,
Like, God, their argument being, their argument being he's too dumb to realize that he didn't win the election is so good, dude. I just think it's so good. He's too dumb. Poor guy doesn't realize that he didn't win the election.
to opine, lobby for, assert, do everything they can legally to ask for people to make different decisions, then why is it you saw criminal conduct on behalf of a president who believed he didn't win?
Because he was trying to overturn the election. Even if he didn't believe that he won, it was pretty clear, dog. Like, what do you want them to do?
Myself have something in common along with a number of others here. We saw wrongdoing, and on January 6th, we voted not to
Hey, what's
confirm
up,
2
Aaron? Good to
states
see you, man.
because they had violated the U.S. Constitution in how they selected who got ballots. And yet, you're going to come here and say, oh, I just followed the law. When you went after these people and you said, well, technically,
What's wrong with that? I followed the law. What's wrong with that statement? Unfortunately, Jack Smith isn't like the Republican crooks that make up most of the people here.
I can do that.
Yeah, I don't see
You didn't
anyone
see any
wanting
selective
socialism
nature
here. I never advocated
or any separation
for it.
of powers under the Constitution to
I'm a
spying
liberal,
on the
dog.
activities and the conversations of the Speaker of the House? To what end would conversations between the Speaker of the U.S. House, third or second in line to be the President, and the President, in what basis would it be any of your business other than you believe that there was a conspiracy without conspiracy as a basic premise? You, like the President's men for Richard Nixon.
Oh, don't talk about
went
the
after your
KKK when talking about Trump. Did we forget that David Duke endorsed him? How do you get a David Duke endorsement? You got to be like ultra racist for that. Your whole party is socialist. This person obviously just watches Fox News, and that's very sad for him.
Political enemies. Maybe they're not your political enemies, but they sure as hell were Joe Biden's political enemies, weren't they? They were Harris's political enemies. They were the enemies of the president, and you were their arm, weren't you?
Weren't you?
No. Oh, great. So you spied on...
No. Oh, great. Well, fuck. Like, what did you want him to agree with him? Everything is racist? I don't think that. I don't think that at all. You need to get a better straw man to fight. This straw man you're building up is pretty weak sauce.
The Speaker of the House and these other senators and so on, and informed no one, and in fact put in a gag order so they couldn't discover it. If they were not subjects of a conspiracy investigation, why did Congress, a separate branch that you, under the Constitution, have to respect, why is it that no one should be informed, including the judges? As you went in to spy on these people, did you mention that you were spying on seeking records so you could find out about when conversations occurred between the U.S. Speaker of the House and the President? Did you inform the judge, or did you hold that back?
My office didn't spy on anyone.
Wait a second. The question I asked you, Mr. Smith, was pretty straightforward. Did you withhold that information from an Article III judge in the process of taking the records of the Speaker of the House?
We complied with department.
Did you hold back
Mr.
that
Chairman, would you
information?
please instruct the gentleman to allow the witness to answer the question?
It's not your time.
For
I'd
real,
like,
who is this fucking loser? That's so embarrassing. This is how a fucking congressman is acting. Jesus.
my time back.
Mr. Chairman,
again,
you have
please.
repeatedly done that in the past. The witness has the right to answer the question.
And there'll be due time to answer the question. Would you please put my time back and let me finish this? Mr. Smith, I asked you a question and you were not responsive to it, and I want you to be responsive to it. Did you, whether you think it was legal or not, whether you think it was right or not, did you withhold the name of Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House, when you were seeking records on Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, or Jim Jordan, the chairman of this committee?
At the time the gentleman is...
No,
you
please
got
give
a
me
few more
back the
seconds.
time that would take it away.
Time has expired, but we're going to let the witness answer your question because it's an important question. The witness can respond.
We did not provide that information to the judge when we
Whoa, dude, how
requested
the
a
fuck is he
non-disclosure order,
rapid-firing me
consistent
like
with the
that?
law and consistent
Holy
with the public
shit.
Mr. Chairman, the amazing thing here today is that we have an admission that an Article
Chairman,
One...
the gentleman's
I find
time
it so funny when MAGA just randomly brings up like Jasmine Crockett. It's like, it's kind of like with the trans stuff. It's like, oh, you find her attractive, huh?
is expired by now 34 seconds.
It gets more than 5 minutes.
How many
'cause it's a
times are you going
good
to interrupt
question?
me?
The time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Keep in mind that Trump is the only one who's actually done anything that's socialist when he brought a chunk of intel as a representative of the people. Amen, dude.
It has
I
expired.
will be brief in my address to the chairman. We have the evidence
Trump's
that an
more
Article I
socialist
representative
than
on
any
behalf of the
Democrat
president
that I
withheld
Order
that
of
Article
time.
3.
Mr. Chairman, I
that
witnessed granted the
information.
same leniency
And
of
with
this
that, I yield back in
yield
disgust of this witness.
Sticking with California, the gentlelady from
Derek, I have
California is now
no
recognized.
idea about that.
Mr.
I'm not
Smith,
a bottom
thank you
like
for being
you,
here
so
today.
you'll have to answer that yourself,
earlier the
my
chairman
friend.
spent a lot of time talking
Nothing
about
wrong with
Cassidy
being a
Hutchinson,
bottom, by the way.
who we
There are plenty of power bottoms out there. Plenty of them. But Derek, you're just going to have to find that out on yourself, man. And don't worry, I support you on your gay journey. I think it's very powerful. And an important part. It'll be an important part of your life, I'm sure. Bro, what? We're not hitting him at all. Oh, we're getting a few shots. Let's go. Fucking fucked, loser.
know is just one of many witnesses. It's important to note that there was testimony that she was told something by Mr. Ornato, not that she had personal knowledge. And of course, Mr. Ornato was of very questionable veracity. We had a testimony from a Metropolitan Police Department official about an argument, a big argument that the president was having about going to the Capitol. And in fact, the vehicle was delayed going back to the Capitol.
So, Derek, you do admit that you're homosexual.
Having said that,
That's
I
great
want
to
to
hear,
focus on
man.
something
I'm
my
glad you
colleagues
don't
across
deny
the
it like
aisle
some of your
seem to want
MAGA
to
brethren.
ignore. The fact that your investigation into President Trump's attempt to
Hey, I'm
overturn
bisexual,
the
so no
2020
shame
election
there, man.
was built on testimony from members of the Republican Party. In fact, last week, the New York Times published grand jury transcripts from Georgia that show the same pattern in Trump's Georgia criminal case. Georgia's Republican Attorney General Chris Carr testified that he told, quote, and this is a quote, "We're just not seeing the things that you are seeing." And the late Georgia House Speaker David Ralston, also a Republican, testified that Trump's fake elector scheme was, quote, "the craziest thing I've heard." And then there's Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the president's closest allies. In his secret grand jury testimony, Senator Graham told the jurors, quote, "I have told him more times than we can count that he fell short," unquote. And then he said this, quote, "If you told him Martians came and stole votes, he'd be inclined to believe it." Martians, that's from Senator Graham speaking under oath. So here's my question. Mr. Smith, in your deposition with this committee, you testified, and here's a quote, "Our case was built on, frankly, Republicans who put their allegiance to the country before the party." That the president's closest allies are telling him that his claims of election fraud are wrong. And so I'm just wondering, can you explain what you meant in your deposition, that it was Republicans who were putting their allegiance to their country ahead of their party?
Oh, this is a good question. This is a good question. Trump is what's wrong with America? Amen.
Yes. There were witnesses who I felt would be very strong witnesses, including, for example, the Secretary of State in Georgia, who told Donald Trump the truth, told him things that he did not want to hear, and put him on notice that what he was saying was false. These were people who knew how the elections were conducted in these states, and I believe that witnesses of that nature, witnesses who are willing to tell the truth, even if it's going to impose a cost on them in their lives, my experience as a prosecutor over 30 years is that witnesses like that are very credible, and that jurors tend to believe witnesses like that because they pay a cost for telling the truth.
In terms of the grand jury testimony that's now been released, the fact that Donald Trump, according to Senator Graham, would believe that Martians stole the election, what does that tell you about Trump's state of mind?
That statement is consistent with what we found in our investigation, in that our investigation revealed that Donald Trump was not looking for honest answers about whether there was fraud in the election. He was looking for ways to stay in power. And when people told him
Damn, this is a powerful
things
damnation,
that conflicted with him staying in power, he rejected them, or he...
I mean, think, this guy had to look through all of Donald Trump's, you know, personal affects, his personal life, and he found that Donald Trump just wanted to stay in power. I mean, that's a damnation, in my opinion. I know Republicans like to pretend this guy is basically Satan, but I think that's a pretty embarrassing damnation of Donald Trump. I know Jack Smith has so much patience. It's insane. If I were him, I don't even know if I would have shown up to this thing. But maybe, I think he might have had to.
Chose not even to contact people like that who would know if the election was done properly in the state. On the other hand, when individuals would say things that would allow him to stay in power, no matter how fantastical, he would latch on to those. That pattern, over time, we felt was powerful evidence that he, in fact, knew that the fraud claims he was making were false.
You know, who were some of the Republican witnesses who told you that who told President Trump that his claims of election fraud were false? Can you share that with us?
There were a range of witnesses. They ranged from people on his campaign team who had wanted him to win, were employed to help him win the election. They included state officials, state Republican officials who wanted him to win, voted for him, campaigned for him, asked him and his co-conspirators to provide evidence to support their claims, and invariably they never did. It included officials, advisors, people he worked with in the White House who he relied upon for important decisions and who he trusted in other contexts. We felt we had strong evidence from a variety of sources.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
Mr. Chairman, with my fellow Californian, you were allowing the witness.
Yeah, it's a good question. Isn't that grounds to let him answer?
I've given him 30 seconds extra, the gentlelady 30 seconds extra. If the gentleman can be concise and finish up here quickly, we will allow him to finish.
He's like, I don't
Yes,
like
sir.
that question.
And just conclude saying we felt that that
It's so embarrassing.
constituted powerful evidence of the knowing falsity of his statements in furtherance of the fraud.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to yield back, noting the presence of officers who were severely
Got
attacked,
nothing to yield back. You're a minute over. The gentleman from
protecting
Texas.
our lives on January 6th.
The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gill, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Smith, in January of 2023, did you subpoena then Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy's toll records?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yes, you did. And the subpoena covered the time period between November 2020 and January 2021. Is that right?
I'm sorry, sir, could you say that again?
We're not going to delay like this. The subpoena covered the time period between November
We're
of
not going to
2020.
delay like this. Mr. Gill. God. Something's fishy up. Something is fishy with this guy.
in
ladies and
January
gentlemen.
2021. How many days after Kevin
Come
McCarthy
on,
was
that one
sworn in
was
as Speaker did you
amazing.
subpoena his records?
That one was
I don't
amazing,
recall,
and
but
you
those
can't
two
say
things had
wasn't.
nothing
It
to
was
Sorry.
16 days after becoming the highest ranking Republican in the House of Representatives. You subpoenaed his toll records. Do you agree that that might reasonably be considered a violation of the speech or debate clause?
I do not, and I want to be clear that the toll
You were
records-
collecting months' worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House, the leader of the opposition, right after he got sworn in as Speaker, all around the time of a major vote. That sounds like a flagrant violation of the speech or debate clause to me, and I think most people agree with me. And Speaker McCarthy had no
But again,
recourse, did he? Because you issued a
Remember, guys, they
non-disclosure.
can't go after Jack Smith's conclusions, so they're going to try to go after just random small procedural things that don't really matter at the end of the day, because they can't go after his conclusion that Donald Trump tried to interfere in the 2020 election.
Order ensuring that neither he nor any of the American people knew about these subpoenas. Is that right?
The toll record, the non-content toll record subpoenas, we did secure non-disclosure orders for those subpoenas.
You did. And let me ask you, Mr. Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
The non-disclosure order was based on concerns about...
Was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk? It says right here, the court finds reasonable
God.
grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in
Look,
flight
they
from
called him a
prosecution.
flight risk when he wasn't. That means the entire case is flown out. That's it, guys. There it is. Yep, they poked a hole. Yeah, I don't know how we yeah, that's just how do we recover from that, guys? So dumb. These people they're desperate, dude. They're so desperate.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be
You
associated.
think that the Speaker of the House is a flight risk?
the question?
No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House is a flight risk? You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is... with
There's Mr.
respect
Gill coming up with another fishy take.
to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't
you
necessarily
guys liking the
associated
fit?
with the subscriber to the phone.
think I'm looking fresh.
They're the risks to the
Okay.
investigation.
I think that you were using, this was clearly in reference to Speaker McCarthy, and you were using clearly false information to secure a non-disclosure order to hide from Speaker McCarthy and from the American people the fact that you were spying on his toll records. But I've got more, so let's move on. In May of 2023, you also issued subpoenas
Guys,
for
he's
toll
got
records
more.
of 9
Oh,
U.S.
no.
senators and an additional
What?
representative. Is that right?
In May of 23, we did issue...
You did, and there were non-disclosure orders in conjunction with those subpoenas as well, right?
That's correct, consistent with department policy and
Right.
the law.
So again, nobody would know what you were doing. The senators would, and the representatives would, and the American people wouldn't know what you were doing. Is that right?
The toll
Isn't that what a
records...
closed investigation is about? Dude, what? Yeah, no shit, dude. there's multiple reasons for that also. It's not just fucking, that makes sense.
That we secured in the non-disclosure orders were consistent with policy and consistent.
And you knew whenever you were doing that there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. Is that right?
The toll record subpoenas that we secured were with the concurrence of the Public Integrity.
Your own analysis says that you knew there was a risk you were violating
Mr.
the
Fish
speech or
is
debate
just
clause.
such an annoying, or Mr. Gill, my bad. I shouldn't start calling him that. I'm actually gonna, that's gonna be his name fucking soon. You know, it's just gonna be Mr. Fish in my mind. But, he's a real
Clause. I have
interesting
it right
fellow,
here. This
huh?
is an email from John Keller at Public Integrity Section to your team. As you are aware, quote, as you are aware, there is some litigation risk regarding whether compelled disclosure of toll records of a member's legislative calls violates the speech or debate clause in the D.C. Circuit. That's from your own analysis right there. So you did know, didn't you?
So
You
with
knew.
respect to the
You did know, didn't you, bud? Yeah. You knew it. You knew damned well.
item you just put up on the screen, the last sentence states,
Oh, we're going to get to the last sentence.
Mr. Fish
Okay.
is
We're going to get to
perfect.
the last
I mean,
sentence.
you
And
know,
you cite case law
he sounds like a fish. He's constantly gulping.
on here, quote, the
What
bar on
else could we
compelled
call it?
disclosure is absolute. Is that right? Or do you think that you didn't have to abide by that precedent?
to be clear, this statement is not from my office. This is the statement
This
of
is
Public
this is
Integrity
your
Section.
justification for those subpoenas and NDOs that you ordered. This was part of your analysis. It's a cursory analysis. I think it's worth noting. But let's get to that last sentence then. Quote, given my understanding of the low likelihood that any of the members listed below would be charged, the litigation risk should be minimal here. In other words, you're using a novel legal theory, which you knew was novel, has never been tested by any court. You're not charging any of these members. Nobody's going to know about it because you issued NDOs. Nobody's going to sue this, so who cares? We're going to do it anyways. I mean, you walked all over the Constitution throughout this entire process.
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman's time's
spying
expired.
on members of Congress, and you know it. It's absolutely disgraceful.
The time.
I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Not going to be charged. They're not going to see it. They're not going to know because we're not going to tell them. So let's go ahead and do it. It's exactly what happened. The gentleman from Tennessee is recognized.
How is this, dude? You cannot be a partisan hack like how is this guy in the position he's in? That's so embarrassing. God, what a hack.
For 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Smith, it's great that you've been allowed to come here and testify to the American public. Is there anything you'd like briefly to discuss that Mr. Gill brought up on the reasons why you needed those phone records and
Yeah,
the
virtue
limitations that you
signal
felt might
harder, dude.
have
Like,
been?
can you please this is so unfair that he has to come here and sit in front of these fucking milk drinkers, dude. That's what I call my Senator Roger Marshall. He's a milk drinker because in a trans bill, or not in a trans bill, in a bill that would make it harder for trans people to go to the restroom in school, he sneakily tried to make it to where milk, they'd also get a bunch of different options of milk, like this kids in general. So he tried to sneak that one past. Luckily, our legislation was a little smarter than that.
On you and the prosecution because of to risk the investigation.
Sure. And I would begin by pointing out that the email that was referenced wasn't a justification from my office.
And to
It
be
was an
fair,
email
hey
from the
guys,
Public
I will be
Integrity
honest,
Section.
I like milk too. But there's nothing wrong with milk. Hey, that may be one of the most controversial things I've said in a while. Huge dip in viewership when I said the milk comment. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I do like milk. I'm sure you love the trans wieners. Well, I'm at least honest about it, that I'm okay with any of the genitalia, but you guys can't be honest that that's something you enjoy. And I think that's sad.
To my office approving the subpoenas. The subpoenas that we secured with non-disclosure orders from a judge because I had grave concerns about obstruction of justice in this investigation, specifically with regards to Donald Trump. Not only did we have the obstruction of justice that we were investigating in the classified documents case, but I was aware during the course of our investigation of targeting of witnesses during the course of the conspiracy itself. There were election workers who had their lives turned upside down and received vile death threats because they were targeted by Donald Trump and his co-conspirators.
Like, think about that. Department, people that love America and all they want to do is just get to the bottom of this case, regardless of the outcome. And these fools have the audacity to fucking harass them. I mean, it's sick, dude. It really is, in my opinion.
I had a duty to protect witnesses in this investigation. That risk, that threat to witnesses was only confirmed when we went forward in this case and Donald Trump suggested that one witness should be put to death and then also issued a statement to the effect of, if you come after me, I'm coming after you. In my mind, I can't think of a more direct threat to witnesses and individuals involved in that proceeding.
I guess the reason I was reminded of the milk drinker is because that's an insult in fucking Skyrim. By the way, I don't know if I told you what my character is a spell sword. That's what we're doing. We're doing a spell sword, ladies and gentlemen. That's my vibe. My sign is the warrior. Class spell sword. Let's get this.
Given that sort of threats, it was, in my view, completely appropriate to protect the integrity of the investigation, to protect against destruction of evidence, and to protect the witnesses in our case.
Yeah, I love
and just
milk drinker
make clear,
as an insult.
you
It
did
is
not
kind of a
see
fun
any
one,
of the discussion. There was not any. It was just the content that they made a call to the president and vice versa, but nothing about any content whatsoever.
That's correct. A toll record subpoena gives you who a call is from, who it is to, and the length of that call. It does not tell you the content of what people are speaking about.
You felt that you had a case that was one that you would win beyond a reasonable doubt, no moral certainty. Is there anything in your facts that you had that you would have used at trial that you believe has not been presented to the public?
Skyrim's super fun. I recommend playing Morrowind and downloading the Tamriel Rebuilt mods. They're really fun, and Morrowind's super fun as well. It's a little more technical than Skyrim. Like everything, you know. In Skyrim, when you hit something, you actually hit something, but in this game, not necessarily. Be safe, bro. Hey, you too. Good seeing you, Sarzaro, the younger. Cool guy. Don't know if
In
you're
the
legal
past,
or not, but
or
good
have
seeing
been
you
misrepresented to the
nonetheless.
public.
Is there anything
Essential facts that you had that you felt would have resulted in a conviction of the president on the charges that he was indicted upon?
I think my report, the report of our case, the final report, summarizes the evidence, I think, in a way that is gives a fair reading of the strength of the case.
And you have no question but have been successful before jury.
My review of the case, I came to the conclusion we had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. We were ready, willing, and able to go to trial in the case. Of course, as I said in my opening statement, prosecutors can't control outcomes, but I felt confident in pursuing the case to trial.
Did Merrick Garland ever pressure you to bring an indictment or to do anything in your investigation?
No.
Did anybody else in the administration, President Biden, Vice President Harris, et cetera?
I was given the independence to conduct my investigation, and I came to the decision to bring charges
You
in
know,
this case.
who still supports Trump at this point? I really do wonder. He is just so massively unpopular. It's kind of hard for me to even fathom somebody really supporting him. But I guess he does have his supporters out there. I do think a lot of right-wing talking points, like right-wing points, are just astroturfed, though.
Case without undue influence from anybody in the department.
And you dropped the case. Why did you drop the case?
The cases against Donald Trump were dismissed pursuant to department policy.
The Department of Policy, the Office of Legal Counsel said if somebody's president, you can't bring a charge against them or they can't be held liable. Is that correct?
That's correct. There had not been a case of this nature ever where someone was elected president with charges pending, and so that was slightly different. So we consulted with with the Office of Legal Counsel, and they determined pursuant to policy that the cases needed to be dismissed.
And you weren't pleased with that, but you had to follow the law, and that's what you did.
We followed policy throughout my investigation. My job was not to set policy. My job was to follow it, and that's what we did.
I want to thank you for your service. I think you're a great American, and you came out of this as being somebody who people can respect and look up to in a fashion that we should be instilling people's desire to go into justice, to go into law,
So
to go into
sad the
government.
smear
You're an example
campaigns
of the
they
type
try
of
to
person
put
they
on
should
this
follow.
guy.
I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
Mr. Smith, there's something that's really bothering me since your deposition. It's how and why you got the position of special counsel and your personal relationship with Marshall Miller.
Fitzgerald's got a problem. He says, how did you become the investigator? He wants to know all about Jack Smith's fucking history, I guess. Can't you find like a fucking documentary about that, man? Is this like really a question we really need to be fucking caring about? Jesus.
Let's go back to 1999 when you were working for the United States Attorney's Office.
Holy shit! Ladies and gentlemen, we are going all the way back to 1999. Whoa, bro. Jesus Christ. All I've seen them do is astroturf everything while trying to gaslight you into thinking it's actual grass. Hey, fucking men, Benzo Scarlet. I mean, that's so fucking true. Like, this shit is obviously not grass, but, you know, Trump the con man, always the con man, will try to tell you it is.
Office for the Eastern District of New York. Is that when you first met Marshall Miller?
Yes.
So after ED New York, did the two of you ever work together again prior to becoming special counsel? According to the public bios for you and Mr. Miller, you overlapped at DOJ from 2014-15 when you were chief of DOJ's Public Integrity Section and Mr. Miller was chief of staff for DOJ's Criminal Division. Is that accurate?
I believe that is accurate, yes.
Okay, so were the two of you social outside of work?
I would say intermittently, yes.
Okay, but after 20 years of knowing each other, it's safe to say you were friends, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's fast forward to 2022. Mr. Miller is appointed Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General at DOJ, the number 3 at DOJ. You call your friend to congratulate him, and according to the deposition transcript, you say you'd be interested in a position at DOJ. Is that correct?
Yes. What I recall is that I expressed an interest if the right position came up, I would be interested in considering.
But at that point, there's no discussion about special counsel. Is that correct?
This is some time ago, and so I don't have a specific recollection of all these conversations.
So you were first approached about special counsel and that role before the 22 midterm elections. And according to the deposition transcript in October of 2022, you fly to D.C., meet with the AG and the Deputy Attorney General. Is that correct?
Yes, I flew to D.C., I believe it was in October, and I met the Deputy Attorney General, and also I met the Attorney General.
So in multiple conversations with your friend Marshall Miller, he never once tipped you off that the Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General have you on the short list for special counsel? That never came up?
Again, this was some time ago, but my recollection is I came to Washington and I met with those individuals as well as the Human Rights section. Marshall Miller is the person who set that up.
So he was at the meetings. Was he at the meetings? So just to tie all this together, you've known Mr. Miller since you were both AUSA in New York. You stayed in touch over a 20-year career in federal government. He gets a job with the Biden administration, and just a few short months later, you're offered the role of special counsel. I'm having a hard time believing that this is some big coincidence and that there wasn't a back and forth on the special counsel. So maybe you never received directives explicitly from the AG or the Deputy Attorney General, but was Marshall Miller, did he become a two-way conduit throughout the investigation with DOJ?
No, and I would not take direction from a political person, a political figure, about how I should conduct an investigation.
But you never spoke to him throughout the entire time you were conducting the investigation?
No, I didn't say that. What I said was that he was, I think you asked if he was a conduit of information. He was present, to my recollection, at meetings, briefings that I had with the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General during my time as special counsel.
I mean, I don't want to assume anything, but Mr. Miller wanted you in that position, not because you're necessarily the best.
So I have to wonder for all the Trump supporters. By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really supports the channel. Why do you support the friend of a pedophile pimp? You know, every day that Donald Trump doesn't release the Epstein files, I really do start to think, like, this guy is more involved than he is fucking letting on. Like, I mean, how do you think anything but? How do you think anything but this man is not guilty? I'm gonna read these books in my free time. I enjoy reading some Skyrim shit, or some, not Skyrim, but the lore in the Elder Scrolls. Trump is the best president.
Best lawyer he ever met, but because of the long-term friendship
It's
that
all
you have
right.
with him.
We're getting one by one, ladies and gentlemen, you know?
What I can tell you is I have been a prosecutor for 30 years. I have been an apolitical
Sometimes
public servant
you
for
gotta
30
give them a place to cope, because the poor guys, they've never seen the inside of a therapist office, so you can't really, you gotta feel bad for them to a certain extent, you know what I mean?
years. I've prosecuted cases against Democrats and Republicans.
That's a
all the
fallback
same.
when they got nothing. Where's the files? I mean, no, I just thought it was an interesting thing they brought up. But Red to Mango, if you would like to debate me, you know, feel free to join my Discord and really school me. Unfortunately, that still is yet to happen, but we're hoping it will happen at some point. Fire salts, hey, I'll take those. You got fire salts, gamers.
I've had,
And those aren't
in my
the bath
view,
salts that Donald
the
Trump
experience
Jr. takes
necessary
on the
for this
regular.
position,
Hey,
and that's why
am
I accepted it.
right?
So he knew that you would pursue.
What does my therapist tell me?
Exa-
I mean, that's personal between me and her, man. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to tell you that. What does your therapist tell you?
I mean, he had to have an idea that you would pursue exactly what the Biden administration wanted, which was criminal charges against President Trump.
I think that anybody who knows me well knows the idea that I
Well,
would take direction from a
Red
political.
Domingo, I do want to remind you that Ghislaine Maxwell had more charges brought against her under the Biden administration. That didn't happen under the Trump administration. The Trump administration has continued to try to hide the files in every way they can and really dig in and try not to talk about them. It's very embarrassing. And if anything, it just shows that Donald Trump is most definitely guilty of some sort of wrongdoing within the files. Whether that be him knowing that Epstein did these actions and not telling anybody, or maybe there's something darker there. I don't know. It's definitely disturbing, though.
Figure about how an investigation should come out. I don't think anybody who knows me
Damn,
thinks
I like
that's
when
true.
it's raining like this.
Well,
Very
Chairman
atmospheric.
Jordan, I think the next deposition should be with Marshall Miller at this point. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
And while we are deposing Marshall Miller, maybe we can depose Donald Trump about why he chose his personal lawyer to be the head of the DOJ. On January 6, 2026, the 5th anniversary of the insurrection, the White House launched a taxpayer-funded website that attempts to rewrite history about what happened on that day of infamy. On January 6, 2021, there was an insurrection at the United
Oh, I like this guy, Mr. Johnson. He's got a good voice. He's got a good voice. You can't lie.
States Capitol that resulted in a police
It
officer
reminds me
dying
of,
the next day.
Pearl John. It reminds me of the speaker of Fallout New in the beginning of Fallouts. Ron Perlman. There we go.
Another 4 officers dying by suicide in the months thereafter. With at least
Holy shit! This man has a job in the private industry. In the year 2077, atomic fire took over the entire world.
140 police officers being injured.
Am I the
by
only one
insur-
that's hearing this, by the way? Like, don't tell me I'm the only one hearing this.
Insurrectionists, with 15 of them requiring hospitalization. And I'm proud that we have 4 former officers as well as on-duty Capitol Hill police officers here today. Mr. Smith, I want to ask you about this website because the Trump administration
you got me.
is
He's
using
got a good voice. How gay. Fuck.
taxpayer dollars to lie to the American people about the events leading up to and the events taking place on January 6, 2021. For example, this Trump propaganda site claims that the 2020 election was, quote, stolen. Mr. Smith, did your investigation uncover evidence sufficient to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump knew that his claim that the election was stolen was false?
Yes, it did.
And did your investigation uncover evidence sufficient to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump publicly claimed that the 2020 election was stolen from him while he privately acknowledged that he had lost the election?
Yes, we cited instances of that during in our case.
But yet here we see that on the 5th anniversary of the insurrection, the Trump White House propaganda machine is still promoting the stolen election theory.
I got brain rot. God damn it.
On this government webpage with a text box titled, quote, fraudulent election, stolen election certified, end quote. The site also has a subsection reading in part, quote, FBI
No, I have another
entrapment
job.
operation exposed.
This is just for fun. I don't
Mr.
have,
Smith.
as you can tell, I have not monetized this stream. I have not, I'm thinking about monetizing it once I hit 500 subs, but Yeah, no, I don't make any money from this. I just enjoy it because I love talking about politics, and I think it's, you know, one of your duties as an American to talk about politics. So, wait, the election wasn't stolen? And Trump is pushing propaganda? I know, right? I like this guy. He's cool, though.
Did your investigation
Nope, sorry.
develop any evidence to support the allegation that the FBI entrapped insurrectionists into committing crimes on
Oh
January
God,
6th?
this guy's been caught lying. Holy shit. Well, don't show the laundry list of the filth. I don't even know about that, but you know, don't show the filth of the absolute waterfall of lies that comes out of Trump's mouth on a daily. He said gas was under $2, and that is still yet to occur.
Our investigation revealed that Donald Trump is the person who caused January 6th, that it was foreseeable to him, and that he sought to exploit the violence.
This channel sucks.
This website also accuses you of being a, quote, Biden prosecutor who brought, quote, weaponized...
Yeah, and what's he lying about exactly? Like, what did he lie about? I'd be interested to know that. He's been caught lying. See, when I was watching this shorts reel, I saw him, and Fox News said he was lying.
charges against Mr. Trump. Mr. Smith, were you a Biden prosecutor who weaponized the Department of Justice against Donald Trump?
Or where is it 215? Can you please tell me? Where is it 215? I'll fact check you on that one, buddy. Where are you getting $2.15 gas?
Absolutely not.
Did Attorney General Merrick Garland direct you to prosecute Trump because Donald Trump was running against Joe Biden in the presidential election?
No.
There are also allegations that President Trump was the victim of, quote, lawfare, and accusations that the Department of Justice lawyers who prosecuted Donald Trump used, quote, fabricated indictments and rigged show trials. Did you, Mr. Smith, or the men and women working on your team work to fabricate indictments or put on rigged show trials?
No, we secured indictments from grand juries.
Saw it at a gas station. Doesn't mean that's the average price. Well, the average is what most Americans
We were prepared to prove our case in court.
I'm sorry your
beyond a-
Costco, mom and pop shop is a little cheaper, but for the rest of the country, they're not feeling that.
Reasonable doubt.
Did you use your
I'm glad
appointment as
you
special
caught
counsel
yourself
to
with
conduct
that,
a
though.
politically
You
motivated
knew
witch
I was
hunt,
going to bring up the
scam
average, so-
investigation, and prosecution of Donald Trump?
I did not. We followed the facts and we followed the law. Where that led us was to an indictment of an unprecedented criminal scheme to block the peaceful transfer of power.
And those indictments have been dismissed. Can they be re-brought or resurrected after this, after Trump leaves office?
They were dismissed without prejudice.
So they can be refiled? And he can be prosecuted after he leaves office, is that correct?
I'm not going to speak to that. I can only speak to what we did, which was dismiss the case without prejudice.
All right. The website put out by the Trump White House on the anniversary of January 6th is nothing more than a pack of lies. It proves that Donald Trump is hell-bent on misusing taxpayer dollars in a feeble attempt to rewrite his criminal history and the history of what happened on January 6, 2021. And with that, I yield back, but I would like to, Mr. Chairman, offer for the record
Unanimous consent?
unanimous consent, a statement from Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency released on November 12, 2020 that states the November 3rd election was the most secure in American history.
Objection.
221
And
in
also-
Hamilton Avenue, Cincinnati. All right, I don't know where that is, but let's go to AAA and see if he's right. Sorry, don't mean to divert, guys. One moment. Oh. When Biden left office, it was, well, let's see. When Biden left office, it was $3.60, and now it's about $3.35, about 25. But let's see Cincinnati. Cincinnati. I don't know where Cincinnati is. Is that good? Is that bad, guys? Where is Cincinnati? Here, hold on one moment, guys. Where is Cincinnati? I'll be honest. I hear this place a lot, but oh, it's in Ohio? Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Ohio is one of these, right? It's one of these. That's Idaho. Yeah, it's one of these states. Yeah, there it is, Ohio. All right. You seem to be a liar, my friend. You are a big fat liar. I mean, it's always so crazy how when we catch these guys, right? What a liar. There is not $2 and fucking 15 cents anywhere in Ohio. Holy shit. Get checked, bro. Wow, bro. Holy. Yeah, they definitely aren't below $2. Wow. You obviously failed geography. See, now he's just gonna go back to insults because I absolutely clowned on them. Anyways. Ugh.
So testimony from, I would like to request unanimous consent to enter into the record.
That's a good point. He used his points. Oh my God. Fuck, that was the one time a year where he got $2.15 gas, and he is still flaunting it. I made a whole, the other day I made a whole spiel about that. Like, these motherfuckers are using their one time they get under $2 gas, and it's with their fucking Costco cards, and they're acting like that's what everybody pays.
The September 24th.
No, I'm looking at individual counties here, my friend. Look, I'm going all across the way. There's not a single place where it's $2.15. You fucking liar. Stop lying. Look, even Phil is not is in awe. Yeah, according to you, it's 360 is better, moron. Did I say that?
2020 testimony of Trump's former FBI director.
Yeah, why am I'm not mad about 20 cents cheaper gas, but it's definitely not changing people's lives.
Chris Wray, who told Senate Homeland Security, the Homeland Security Committee of the Senate, that the FBI had, quote, not seen or historically had any kind of coordinated national voter fraud effort in a major election.
Without objection.
And last but not least, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this article titled "Disputing Trump, Barr Says
Hey, and
No
I'm not mad at you, man.
Election."
It's okay, but just admit when you lied. I don't know. I like Mr. Johnson.
Fraud.
Without objection. The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Texas is recognized for 5 minutes.
Sometimes it is hard to get lips getting in the way. Well, hey, I got big lips too. Trust me. Go to my shorts and you see the size of my lips are fucking... They're not ginormous. You know what? I shouldn't be complaining.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Smith, on November 18th, 2022,
Used my
AG Garland
mom's
appointed
Kroger
you.
points? I don't even know if she has Kroger points, man. That must have been someone else's.
A special counsel. Can you
But
tell
what
me
a
about
player
your
you
swearing
are.
in or the oath of office that you took after that?
I saw it on a sign. Well, you must have been in fucking... You must have actually been in, like, someplace like Kansas where gas is always fairly cheap. Shout out to my amazing state. It's such a great place to live. But, you're a beautiful man. Oh, thank you, Project Pat. I appreciate that.
I don't recall the specifics of it. I know I was sworn in. I don't recall the specifics of how that was done.
You don't remember who swore you in?
I don't.
Would you agree that taking the oath of office is a legal requirement for the job that you had?
I've taken oaths of office regularly. I haven't researched whether it's required or not, but I've done that, I think, in every government case.
It is required. Terms I heard earlier today were atypical, irregular, no proper procedure. Yet in your opening statement, you said that we followed Justice Department policies, and I would assume you meant the law as well. It strikes me as odd that...
What state? Kansas. I've already said gas is like 20 cents cheaper, but that is not going to change people's lives, ladies and gentlemen. Just admit gas
You
is
don't
cheaper.
remember who swore you in, how
Will
you were sworn
admit
in?
that it's not like under $2? Will you admit that, TRC?
And it's pretty
How about
significant.
that?
We all get sworn in here, and I remember every day. You don't remember who swore you in?
I don't remember the details of it as I sit here today.
But you did take the oath of office before you got rolling.
I think my recollection is it was
I'm taking
when
the silver
I was
longsword.
appointed.
I'm sorry,
It was
guys.
when,
I have
it
to.
strikes me as odd that
look at me in
Attorney
the
General
eyes.
Garland had you retake the oath of office on the 14th of September of the following year. Why did he make you do that?
As I sit here right now, I do not recall. I know that there is the oath of office that I signed. I believe it was on the 18th, the day that I was appointed. And I know the department had me do a second one.
Agriculture prices absolutely wipe out those gains. Oh yeah, dude. Like, the reason gas is such a big deal is because of logistics, right? Well, these fucking these idiots don't realize that the tariffs are just going to eat up all those gains in terms of logistics, but it's all right. I don't blame them too much, you know. I shouldn't call Trump supporters idiots, you know, because they're my fellow Americans at the end of the day, but we are still relatively early in human history. My mother remembers operating room-sized computers. So forgive those of our species who are still beholden to the old ways of thinking and acting. Yeah, I do try to have a little grace with that. You shouldn't call me an idiot because I am smarter than you. Well, I would never claim to be smarter than anybody, but that's interesting that you got the nads for that one. You must be a very enlightened individual.
I
Revealed
don't know the
across the
particulars
land,
of
maybe.
why they asked me to do it again, but
Well,
I know
you
that-
signed it on the 20th of November 2022, but there was no witness, which, I mean, you have to agree it's a little odd. If there's no witness saying that you took the oath of office, it would maybe make someone like me question whether or not you were legitimately doing the job until you finally took the oath of office. It sounds like the Attorney General had the same question and thought, oh shit, we got to have him sign.
I disagree. Tariffs are definitely not a good bargaining tool. They're good in terms of like targeted tariffs, but this guy is just doing it willy-nilly.
In this on the 14th day of September of the following
Was
year.
NAFTA a good idea? Oh yeah, I think NAFTA was a great idea. And unfortunately, Donald Trump tore it up.
Why did you take the oath
His
of
own
office
thing.
again
Isn't
on the
that kind of
14th of
embarrassing?
September of the following year when you say you took the office in November of 2022? Why'd you need to do it twice?
My recollection is that I took the oath of office, as you said, it was the 18th or the 20th, and felt I was under the oath of office. I believe, if you have it in front of you, I think I signed an oath.
You signed it, but there was no witness. There was supposed to be either notarized or a witness, and apparently Attorney General Garland thought it was significant enough to have you do another oath 11 months later. That's strange, right?
I don't know why they
Not
asked me
really.
to sign it again.
Uh-oh. He did it twice, so that means he's going to be extra honest, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what's wrong with that? He's going to be double honest. Surely they won't have an issue with that.
And I don't recall ever discussing this issue with Attorney General Garland.
Well, that is just wild to me. I'd like to yield the balance of my time to Mr. Jordan.
Well, which one was the official one?
He's your daddy? I would never call a grown man my daddy like that. That's weird, bro. I'm sorry, that's something you guys are cool with, but I just personally would never do that. And I'm secure, you know, with my sexuality and that. I just think it's kind of weird. Alright, I'll sell you a dagger of judgment.
Which one counted?
I
think that's what the gentleman's asking.
I understood myself to have taken the oath of office when I assumed the job.
How much money did you... Okay.
How much money
did
did you
spend in
make? How much money did you make? God, this guy cannot shut the fuck up and let someone talk. If NAFTA was one of the worst things to happen, then why did Trump sign it into law?
Investigating President Trump? How much money did your office spend?
I do not recall as I sit here now, but I know that pursuant to, I believe it's the special counsel regulations, reports were issued each 6 months detailing how much.
We gathered at $35 million. And what I want to know is how much of that $35 million of taxpayer money did you give to confidential human sources? We know you gave $20,000 to someone. It just got reported last week. How much more money did you pay confidential people we don't know about, with American tax money going after the guy?
Saying someone has a nice sounding voice is gay, but saying someone is your daddy, that's totally straight behavior, ladies and gentlemen. And how dare you even call that into question?
Guy we elected president.
My recollection regards the $20,000, which was not a payment from me. It was me approving a payment by the FBI to a confidential human source who was reviewing video and photographic.
Who's the source?
We're going to skip a little bit because this guy is just a crybaby. He is a big crybaby. Mr. Swalwell. I bet this guy is
Sergeant
gonna
Cannell,
be fun.
Mike
Fuck
Fanone,
Trump.
they did
Amen.
everything right. These guys.
By the way, if you
my
guys are
Republican
enjoying the
colleagues are-
stream, please remember to like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel, gets it growing out there in the algorithm. I do a show every day from, well, times definitely vary, but you guys can check what times I'm streaming. I have a couple days scheduled in ahead if you guys are ever wondering. So go check my channel and you will see the scheduled streams option there. Fuck, I'm sick. I forgot. We
Or a
gotta cure
joke.
this illness.
They're wrong. History will harshly judge them. So I want you to lean in today. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You did everything right, sir.
Okay, Swalwell. I'm liking Swalwell so far.
And I am so These guys are so lucky they're not under oath, because they would have to tell you what they really think of Trump. They call him crooked. They call him cruel. They call him a scumbag. I've heard you all say it. You're lucky you're not under Trump, but when the lights go on and the cameras are on, you're tiny, you're small, you shrink. Everyone remembers Matt Gaetz coming over here after a committee hearing. He would laugh at how stupid he thought Trump was. This is all a show. And Mr. Smith, you're just the latest act that they've brought in. But they can't erase what happened on January 6th because we saw it with our own eyes. Mr. Smith, after the mainstream media called the race for Biden about a week after the election, did Donald Trump concede the election?
He did not.
The next month, the Electoral College met in every state and voted Biden as the winner. Did Donald Trump concede then?
He did not.
Shortly after that, the last court case that Donald Trump brought was thrown out. Did he concede then?
No.
Is it your judgment then that only Donald Trump could have convened the mob in the size that it was assembled on January 6th?
Our assessment of the evidence is that he is the person most responsible for what happened on January 6th. He caused what happened. It was foreseeable to him. And then when it happened, he tried to exploit it in furtherance of the conspiracy.
And you actually obtained indictments from a grand jury, right? You went to a grand jury and did something that the Trump administration has not been able to do as they go after their enemies. Their cases are being thrown out. You obtained criminal indictments against them.
This is just a little flex, but Trump is horrible at getting indictments, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite embarrassing.
The president, is that right?
That's correct.
Mr. Smith, do you know who Edward Loya is?
I'm sorry?
Edward Loya, L-O-Y-A?
I believe Mr. Loya worked at the Public Integrity Section when I was
Did you know that he said of you, when it comes to investigating allegations of sophisticated federal criminal matters, Jack Smith is the gold standard? Do you know who Mr. James McGovern is?
Yes, he was a prosecutor I worked with in New York.
I like
Did you know that he said of you,
him up. I
have no
this.
idea what Mr. Smith's
He
political
definitely needed this because these other guys are just being absolute shitheads, not even caring about what Jack Smith is saying.
beliefs are, because he's completely apolitical. So are you a registered independent?
I have no partisan loyalties. I don't know if I'm registered as independent or not registered at all.
Are you glad you accepted Attorney General Garland's request to be a special prosecutor, even though you've been dragged over political barbed wire and your family has been subjected to death threats?
I don't regret it.
Do you remember where you were on September 11th?
I do.
What did you think of that day?
I was in Brooklyn when that happened. I was at the command center that night. I worked on that investigation. I remember pretty clearly.
Y'all need to respect this guy.
Do you remember where you were on January 6th?
On January 6th, I was living in Europe working for the State Department seconded to a war crimes tribunal.
What did you think as you watched on television what happened at the Capitol that day?
To be honest with you, I don't recall if I saw it that day or a later day because of the time period.
What did you think when you saw it?
I was shocked. I was shocked by it. I obviously...
Amen. As all real Americans were, ladies and gentlemen. I was shocked. Bro, these Trump supporters can't even spell. It is very sad, but, you know, hopefully with the repetition, the keyboard warriors will eventually learn how to spell. That's our hope.
Following things as closely. I was not, frankly, up to speed on the events leading up to it.
What shocked you about it?
I just never seen anything like that happen in our country.
Mr. Smith, I don't know if I'll ever have the honor to talk to you again. If I don't, please know that I and my colleagues on the Democratic side, and even my Republican colleagues when they speak privately, have nothing but respect and appreciation for what you tried to do and how you did it. You, unlike many here, are a man of honor. And I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The
A lot of respect for Jack Smith.
gentleman from Alabama is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Smith, you appear before this committee today not as a neutral observer of the law, but at one point you were one of the most powerful prosecutors in the federal system, armed with enormous discretion,
Here we
minimal
go. We got a
oversight,
hack.
and a mandate that goes
hear
to
hack
the very
in his
heart of our
voice.
constitutional order. You brought charges during an active election cycle. You relied on legal theories that had never before been tested in context. And you did so while disregarding long-standing Department of Justice policies designed to prevent prosecutors from influencing elections. Mr. Smith, you claimed in your investigation you developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that
Go
President
sleep
Trump...
with my Chinese spy? I do not have any respect for the fucking People's Republic of China. So don't get that twisted, my friend. Do not get that twisted at all. No respect here. The CCP ain't getting none from me.
Trump engaged in criminal scheme to overturn the results in the 2020 election and to prevent lawful transfer of power. However, a few weeks ago in Georgia, Fulton County election board officials stated that 315,000 ballots were certified without required signatures on the tabulator tapes for poll workers. These signatures were required by the Georgia statute. If not counted, this could have turned the state of Georgia red, and I won't doubt there were similar schemes in many other states. You were illegally appointed to serve as special counsel since you were not confirmed by advance and consent Senate and stated as stated in the Appointments Clause. You also issued an indictment against then-President Biden's most formidable political opponent.
Hey guys, I'm back.
The candidate was
taking a
President
little
Trump.
nap.
And you issued a
Little
gag order
exhausted today?
for President
Hey,
Trump.
I totally understand that. I just got my medication back. Oh my God, it was so frustrating getting it because, you know, I have some mental issues like depression, anxiety, and ADHD. So I have to treat those, and it's very frustrating not getting help for that. Anyways. Yeah, I got something to say about fucking Jews, dude. What the fuck? I hate this waves of anti-Semitism that have come up. Like, how can, like, you can be against what Israel is doing and not be a piece of shit, you know? But some people, they just don't make that connection. They're just like, oh, well, I guess it's time to start hating the Jews.
Trump during a 2024 election cycle.
And I think it's double ironic because, like, Trump ran as the dude that's gonna be, like, best friends with Israel. You know? Oh, well.
This was a major violation of President Trump's First Amendment rights and a poor attempt to outright censor the leading political candidate.
Oh, my God.
These actions
this
were
guy
nothing
is a
short of
hack.
election interference. 9 senators, including Senator Tuberville from my state of Alabama, and multiple Republican
Who's
members
being
of the
anti-Semitic? There was a guy, the Synagogue of Satan owns America. Like, what, bro?
House of Representatives had their phones subpoenaed.
I'm
or their
sorry,
records
I just
Some
don't
you
think
seized
that's
their phones.
true.
Even then, Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy,
Dude,
one
I
of the
used
highest
to be
ranked
deep in occult studies, right? Like, not really, like, just, like, weird shit, like I never believed in the like, reptiles owning the world, but I always thought it was a fun conspiracy to look into. And so, but unfortunately, those conspiracies, they always end up getting anti-Semitic. I don't know what it is.
ranking
It's
Republicans
just
in the
so
country
weird.
had his phone records subpoenaed, all for political gain.
I really don't get it.
These subpoenas
It's like,
clearly
ugh,
violated the speech and debate
it's
clause.
like a switch turns
As
in
John
their
Keller
head.
of the
Time to hate
DOJ's
the
Public
Jews.
Integrity section addressed this issue in an email dated May 17th of 2023, D.C. Circuit President stated that the speech and debate clause, and the bar is this, bar on compelled disclosure is absolute. These instances are not only the tip of the iceberg about you and your team's flagrant disregard of the Constitution. Mr. Smith, your actions have changed and damaged confidence in our justice.
Anti-Semitism on the right? No way, right? It's like, what gave it away? The fucking Nazi paraphernalia?
System. Today, this committee will determine whether that damage was a result of reckless judgment, political bias, or deliberate misuse of authority. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield you the balance of my time for questions.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. I want to go back to that email. If we could put that up, this email that Mr. Gill highlighted a few minutes ago. This is the justification from the public integrity section. If you look at the bottom, John Keller, public integrity section, for going and getting the phone
Hillary
records,
Clinton being
toll
lizard
records
people.
of members of Congress.
Oh yeah, I've heard it all, man. I've been through the. If you guys ever want, I really want to do a conspiracy episode where we do a super long episode going through something like Bibliotheca Pleiades. Oh my God, that would be golden. All right, I'm done in Peligade though. I'm leaving.
And there's a couple things I want to highlight. That first highlighted area, there is some litigation risk. So they admit there's some concern here. And they send this to the copy to Jack Smith's team. And then you go down later, as Mr. Gill pointed out, the case law is clear. A legislator may intervene and oppose such use. So the risk is real. But here's the deal. There was really no risk because we weren't going to know. They weren't going to tell us. They made sure they didn't tell us because they went to the judge and got a gag order. And look at the last...
Oh, God, Jordan, shut the fuck up. Hack alert. Oh, okay. Mr. Nadler. What up, brother?
President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, left Senator Tuberville on January 6th, in which he states, "I'm calling you because I want to discuss with you how they're trying to rush this hearing and how we need you,
guy on this.
Republican
No,
friends,
Jordan
to try
is
to
a
just slow
hack
down
who
so we
gives
can get these
an amazing polishing job to Donald at every chance he can get.
legislatures to get more information."
Without objection. Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California.
Thank you,
Trying to
Mr.
get
Chairman.
the Balmora.
The House Judiciary Committee is responsible for helping to ensure the rule of law. Unfortunately, the chairman of this committee ignored a bipartisan congressional subpoena directed at him. His actions have made it harder for this committee and other congressional committees to get witnesses and testimony and damage the rule
You're
of law.
a hack.
Now, before I ask questions of Mr.
Thank
Smith, I just want to make a simple observation. How scared are Republicans of talking about the Epstein files? They're so scared that they literally are calling Jack Smith the distinguished federal prosecutor who secured multiple indictments against Donald Trump with multiple felony
And against war criminals, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. You're a hack. I know, right? What a toddler. Well, it's okay. It's their brains trying to process. By the way, so I've seen this woman here. I don't know where her lover is, so I'm just going to continue on. I don't want to take
Republicans
that.
would rather talk about the criminality of Donald Trump and trying to steal an election and trying to stop the
that.
peaceful transfer of power.
The
and the
cope is
criminality of
real.
Donald Trump and stealing classified documents, obstructing justice.
By the way, guys, make sure
and
to
about
like
Donald
and subscribe
Trump's
if you guys aren't
associations with
already. I
Jeffrey
do a show
Epstein and his
every day. We're on a
pedophilia
10-day streak
I
right now
demand
after
this
one,
committee,
so-
this chairman, and Republicans to call an immediate hearing asking why the Department of Justice is refusing to release 99% of the Epstein files and why the DOJ is violating the law right now. Now, I have questions, Mrs. Smith, for you, and thank you for being here today. My questions center on interactions or lack of interactions between the Biden administration and yourself. Did President Biden or anyone in the Biden White House ever
Look at
direct
that
you
sun.
to seek retribution
Isn't it beautiful?
against anyone perceived to be Biden's political opponent?
No.
Did the Biden administration,
He's an
President
idiot.
Biden or anyone in the White House
Thank
ever
you,
write
man.
a
I
social
appreciate that.
media post directing you to seek
Means
retribution
I'm doing
against
something
any particular
right.
individual?
You know, MAGA, they tend to kick and scream when shown the light, but Like their dear leader said, some of the best exposure is the light.
No. Did President Biden or anyone else in the Biden White House ever direct you to take any prosecutorial step whatsoever?
No.
Okay. Donald Trump made it clear he wanted to seek retribution against New York Attorney General Tish James. Trump relentlessly attacked her.
Why didn't the demon craps? Because there was an active investigation under Biden's DOJ directly against Ghislaine Maxwell. And for all we know, they were working on a case, but that all ended when Pam Bondi put out a memo saying, that's it, there's nothing else happening.
Saying, quote,
All right,
she should be
Yogi, I'm
prosecuted,
sorry,
and, quote,
but
arrested and
spamming
punished.
is also not quite an
Because she
amazing
dared to hold
thing
Trump
in the chat.
accountable
So
for a
you're
Trump's
going to get a
fraud
10-minute
in New York.
timeout. Don't worry,
Trump
Bubs. You can
weaponized
come
the
back
Department of
later.
Justice, and the Trump DOJ opened a
when
sham
you've grown up.
investigation into her alleged mortgage fraud. We know it's a sham investigation because they couldn't even get twice grand juries
Oh, so
to secure
Maxwell, you mean
indictments.
Donald Trump, right? We should deport Donald Trump. He's aided and abetted far more foreign actors than any Democrat. I mean, it's pretty impressive how many foreign actors he's managed to please.
Against her. When interim U.S. Attorney Eric Siebert, who Donald Trump himself appointed, spent 5 months investigating Tish James, he concluded there was not enough evidence to go forward. And what did Trump do? He fired his own U.S. attorney.
You think there's a problem with having leftists and having people that are different minded than you. That's the problem. If you guys could get past that, it would be so nice, but I guess you can't. Failing an open book history test? Well, that is hard to do.
Mr. Smith, did President Biden or anyone else in the Biden White
Somehow
House
Trump has managed.
ever tell you that Donald Trump should be, quote, arrested and punished?
We got a rat.
Did President Biden or anyone else in the Biden White House ever threaten to fire you based on any action you took or did not take?
No.
Listen to that. Oh, Trump could only dream of doing something like that.
Donald Trump also directed the Trump DOJ to open investigations into his own appointees
Am I going the right way?
who refused to do his bidding. His DOJ recently investigated Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell because Powell won't cede to Trump's bullying on interest rates. Did President
Should
Biden or
fire
anyone
Trump
else in
out
the
of the
Biden White
circus
House
cannon? I
ever
like
direct
that
you to go
idea.
after any Biden
That's a good
appointee?
idea. We should do that.
No.
Okay. I just want to say a little bit about what the Republicans have brought up about these phone toll records.
Chaos, please
you
stop
believe-
projecting what happened to your father. It's very embarrassing. And I mean, I'm sorry that your father left you at such a young age, but that does not mean you have to project it onto everybody else, you know? Some people did have good dads, unlike you. He's out there somewhere, though, man. If you keep looking, I'm sure you'll find him.
The Speaker of the House is above the law.
No, I don't believe anybody should be above the law.
Right. And U.S. senators are not above the law, correct?
No.
Yeah. And members of Congress are not above the law, right?
No.
Yeah, that's right, because we're not. And what Republicans are trying to argue is somehow, if you're doing an investigation, you can't do stuff to senators or members of Congress. Get out of here. We're just under a law like everybody else. And by the way, the speech and debate clause only applies to legislative acts, communications with legislative acts. Stealing a frickin' election and trying to do so is not a legislative act. It is a crime.
Thank you. Aiden, you're pretty dope, by the way, man. I hope you know that. I appreciate your takes coming from Serbia and what it's like there, you know. At some point, we're going to be, me and my friend Rootsy are going to be doing a podcast here soon. And honestly, at some point, if you wanted to come on and tell us about what it's like in Serbia, we'd be more than happy to have you on. Oh, so now we get where the hate comes from. Yup, look at this, guys. Look at this. My dad was a leftist and an atheist, and just because he left for milk doesn't mean I care. Our president is doing a great job. You must be living in Biden's.
So I don't even know what the heck they're talking about.
You must have discovered
And this
some,
is so
some
stupid.
way
I'm a
of-
former prosecutor. You'd never in an investigation go and try to get someone's tow records or phone records and then tell them,
Enlighten us
hey,
how you did
dude,
that.
we're about to get your phone records. Of course you wouldn't tell them. What the Republicans are saying today is just idiotic. I am so pleased you're here on national TV telling the American people that Trump was indicted. He was indicted lawfully, and multiple grand juries secured those indictments. Thank you for your service, and history will look upon you well. I yield back.
Gentlelady from Florida is recognized for 5 minutes.
We should start a Hall of Fame for best presidents and start with Trump and build him a statue. Yeah, and then we should all of Trump's enemies we can put in a big head of Trump and make it into brass and have them scream inside of it, and then instead of their screams, you'll hear Trump. I hope you guys are getting that reference. Not everybody is an enlightened scholar on the Greek and Roman periods.
Mr. Smith, you have a long tenure at the Department of Justice. Would you agree with the statement that DOJ charging policies require prosecutors to bring charges only where the admissible evidence is expected to be sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction? Is that right?
That is correct. That's from the federal principles of prosecution.
And in this case you brought against President Trump, one of the charges you pursued was under Title 18, Section 371, which requires an agreement to interfere with the lawful function of the United States through deceit or dishonesty that the defendant knowingly and intentionally joined.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and really gets the voice and message, the lib message out there. I do a stream every day. Times do vary because I also have a job, unlike many MAGA warriors in my chat. So I do have to do that when I'm that's what I'm doing when I'm not free. Anyways.
And an overt act. And what I'd like to ask you about is this. So you would agree that Section 371 requires dishonesty or deceit and also proof that a criminal defendant acted knowingly and intentionally. Is that right?
I believe that's correct. It requires knowing deceit targeted a lawful government function.
So you would then also agree, would you not, that opinion, disagreement, or even mistake is insufficient to satisfy the burden of criminal intent set forth in that statute?
A mistake certainly would. We needed to prove and intended to prove at trial that the false statements that Donald Trump made were knowingly false.
That they were false and that it was done knowingly. So even under your theory of the case.
Who is Mrs. Lee, by the way? She is... Yikes. She's a meanie.
Even if we took your facts as true, you still would have been required to prove.
What do I work at? Oh, I'm a gas station attendant. I know, right? It's not quite the heights of hold on. I'm just getting into here. It's not quite the most amazing job, but it's still an important job, you know. People got to get gas, so
that the president said something false and that he did it knowingly. So going on to your next charge, let's talk about obstruction. There too, that charge requires proof of wrongful intent, does it not?
That's correct.
So if a defendant there actually believes a factual claim is true, that would mean he could not be convicted of that charge. Isn't that right?
Well,
not correctly convicted.
The defendant for that charge would have to behave corruptly, and corruptly could include seeking an unlawful benefit, seeking a benefit to benefit themselves, in this case, to stay in office when they had, in fact, not won the election.
But there, too, there's a requirement of intent, that this conduct must be knowing and intentional. Isn't that right?
There is an intent requirement, yes.
And
corrupt
didn't you
intent.
also acknowledge in your deposition that the president was receiving information from multiple advisors? Giuliani, Eastman, Clark, Powell, and in your deposition you said he was almost just regurgitating what they told him. Isn't that right?
I don't believe I said he was regurgitating what they told him. I think what I said is that he was making knowingly false claims, that he was believing anything that would keep him in office, and he was rejecting
But you
anything.
would agree that those people, or some people, were giving the president conflicting advice at that time, would you not?
You are correct in that his original campaign staff told him he had lost. He fired them and brought in people who would...
But criminal liability, under the statutes you used in your indictment, requires proving intent, not simply the undermining of democratic norms or expressing an opinion with which you do not agree. So is it not correct, sir, that here you charged 2 intent-based crimes without any direct proof whatsoever that the conduct charged was knowing, intentional, or that you were going to have an adequate basis to sustain a conviction at trial?
I felt we had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I felt that that proof included direct testimony from a number of witnesses to prove the knowing falsity of his claims.
Despite the fact that in your own deposition you acknowledge the existence of conflicting advice. If this defendant were anyone other than Donald J. Trump, Mr. Smith, I find it hard to believe that we would be sitting here today having a hearing about an indictment that was returned knowing that the elements of the offenses could not be demonstrated. Now, let's talk about this. I assume you're also familiar with the Department of Justice policy that prohibits prosecutors from selecting the timing of investigative or prosecutorial actions for the purpose of affecting any election.
Yes, I am.
Dude,
That's the
I'm in the
election year.
Mages Guild now. Let's get excited. Oh, I'm not a socialist. I'm a liberal. I'm a true liberal. You know?
Sensitivities
I believe
policy
in
and-
free market. I believe in the free market, but you do have to have regulations at some point, or else, you know, we've seen the advent of what happens if you don't have any regulations. It's what's happening in America right now. And at some point, you know, I think we need to limit how much a company can have. You know, I think there needs to be 10 Amazons. There needs to be 20 Walmarts. There needs to be no Dollar Generals. You know what I'm saying?
We followed it in all respects. The public integrity section, who administers that policy, concurred that we followed it in all respects.
Mr. Chairman, my time has expired.
The gentlelady yields back. The chair recognizes the ranking member for UC.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman. This is from John Dowd. I was Donald Trump's lawyer. Jack Smith should be celebrated, not vilified. December 16th, 2025, last month.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent to enter the record a criminal complaint filed by the Trump Department of Justice on December 13, 2025, detailing how Kash Patel and the FBI used a confidential human source and an undercover FBI agent to investigate a bomb threat in Los Angeles. And then finally, this is an article published by The Verge on October 19, 2023, titled Peter Thiel was reportedly an FBI informant, which reports that Peter Thiel served as a confidential human source for the FBI.
Without objection, the gentleman from Arizona is recognized for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First one is from MSN.com. Biden's FBI paid anti-Trump sedition hunters as informants in J6 Arctic frost probes.
Without objection.
Jack Smith team approved $20,000 payment to informant to snitch on Trump during Arctic frost probe.
Without objection.
AT&T turned Kevin McCarthy's cell phone records over to Jack Smith.
Without objection.
Biden's legal team met with Jack Smith aide before Trump indictment.
Without objection.
Jack Smith deposition gives insight into failed effort to hold Trump accountable.
Without objection.
Trump special counsel Jack Smith was involved in Lois Lerner IRS scandal.
Without objection.
Special counsel Jack Smith's mixed history pursuing high-profile politicians.
Without objection.
And FBI resisted opening probe into Trump's role on January 6th.
Without objection. The gentleman from North Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
I think it's our turn. Do you yield your time?
lost track after all those unanimous consent requests. Gentlelady from Washington is recognized, and then the gentleman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Smith, thank you for coming here today. Your willingness to speak directly to us and to the American people about your investigation is professional, it's courageous, and it's patriotic.
Amen.
It's high time that the American people hear directly from you about the results of your investigation of President Donald Trump for his criminal actions leading up to and the day of January 6th, 2021. The facts, according to your report, are simple. Without a single piece of evidence, Trump sowed doubt about the 2020 election results and urged his followers to, quote, walk down to the Capitol and fight like hell on January 6th. And that's exactly what they did. Thousands of insurrectionists violently tried to stop Congress from certifying the 2020 election and doing our duty, and they assaulted law enforcement officers, some of whom are sitting right here in the chamber with us. I was trapped in the House gallery with a small number of members that day, and I will never forget the pounding on the doors and the insurrectionists threatening to kill us right outside. My Republican colleagues keep trying to rewrite history. They claim that somehow Trump's words and actions did not legally rise to the level of criminal activity, that he did not directly cause violence at the Capitol. And so I want to set that record straight with you right now. First of all, you successfully secured indictments against Donald Trump in 2 major federal cases: election interference in the 2020 election and mishandling of classified documents after leaving office. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you've been a federal prosecutor for nearly 30 years. You led this investigation, combing through hundreds of thousands of documents, photos, videos, and communication. Did your investigation find that Donald Trump attempted to manufacture fraudulent slates of presidential electors in 7 states that he lost?
Yes.
Did he pressure state officials to ignore true vote counts in those states?
Yes.
Did he spread lies and conspiracies to his followers to make them believe that the election had been illegally rigged against him?
Yes.
Did he pressure DOJ officials to stop the certification of the election?
He did.
Did he pressure
Anyway,
his
sorry,
own
guys, I
vice
was a
president,
little
Mike
busy.
Pence, to stop the certification against the oath of office that he had
Anyways,
sworn
if you guys
to
are
the
enjoying the
Constitution?
stream, please remember
And
to
when
like
all of
and
this didn't
subscribe.
work-
It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there.
Did he, Donald Trump, motivate and inspire an angry mob to the U.S. Capitol to stop the certification?
Our proof showed that he caused what happened on January 6th, that it was foreseeable, and that he exploited that violence.
Did Donald Trump know that his allegations of election fraud were lies when he spread them?
Our proof was that he did, and we intended to prove that at trial.
In fact, as the quotes from your report behind me show, he even privately admitted that he lost the election, correct?
Yes.
He said, quote, "It doesn't matter if you won or lost the election, you have to fight like hell." And he said, "Can you believe I lost to this effing guy?" During your closed-door deposition last month, you and I had an exchange about the impact on our democracy, the toll on our democracy, for not holding a president accountable for trying to steal an election. Do you remember that exchange?
I do.
I want to return to it because I think what you said in the closed-door deposition is important for the American people to hear right here in your public testimony. How would you describe the toll on our democracy if we do not hold a president accountable for attempting to steal an election?
My belief is that if we do not hold the most powerful people in our society to the same standards of the rule of law, it can be catastrophic because if they don't have to follow the law, It's very easy to understand why people would think they don't have to follow the law as well. And so I think the law should be applied equally to everyone.
And what do you think the toll is for future elections and future presidents who try to steal an election?
I think if we don't hold people to account when they commit crimes, it sends a message that those crimes are okay, that our society accepts that. I believe that if we don't call people to account when they commit crimes in this context, it can endanger our election process, it can endanger election workers, and ultimately our democracy. The attack on this Capitol on January 6th was, and the Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. said this, it was an attack on the
Sorry, I
structure
haven't
of
been
our
paying too much attention to the chat. Let me see what's popping. I apologize. I've been engrossed in the storytelling of Morrowind. Not one weapon in MAGA's hand on January 6th. Yeah, they just had a couple nooses, though.
democracy.
And we could experience much worse results down the road if this happens again. I thank you for your work, for your courage, and for your patriotism, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from North Carolina, North Carolina is recognized.
Mr. Smith, just briefly, if there was no mob on January 6th that attacked the Capitol, we would not be here today, would we?
What? What? What type of question is that? No, we would still be here, friend. What? That is such a dumb question.
I can't speak to hypotheticals. The case I investigated involved a mob of supporters of Donald Trump's supporters.
Sure, I understand that. I understand that. But had there not been a mob that rushed the Capitol, if they had just stayed in the original speech, if they had obeyed the instruction, go peacefully and patriotically and make your voices heard, we would not be here. Isn't that correct?
Well, in that case, Donald Trump wouldn't have done many of the things.
I'm just asking. If they had gone peacefully and patriotically, we would not have had a special prosecutor. President Trump would not have been indicted. There would not have been, quote, the attack on the foundations of our democracy, correct?
That's a hypothetical, and I think it's a counterfactual hypothetical.
Well, in second point, in regards to what we just heard from my colleague
Well,
from Washington, I think it's noteworthy that the vice president, despite the enormous toll that he has taken in these events, was against charging the president criminally in this case. But in regards to my own experience, Mr. Smith, I've charged many conspiracies. There's obviously a lot of benefit to that charge. It's a useful tool for fact-finding, scrutinizing evidence, figuring out exactly what happened, trying to form charges, trying to prove charges, trying to solidify the evidence. And in your case, sir, you've detailed, number one, the unprecedented criminal scheme, your words, not mine. In the press conference, you said there was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. Do you remember saying that?
I believe so, yes.
And in regards to your investigative authority, it was quite broad. We've already established that you had millions of dollars at your disposal. You had teams of lawyers. You had total subpoena power. You used campaign officials as witnesses. You subpoenaed millions of documents. You had civilian witnesses. You had political leaders. You had campaign officials that worked with the president, folks who were in the room. And after all of this, sir, you charged a conspiracy, and notably absent, there was no insurrection charged. There was no seditious conspiracy charged.
By the way, thank you guys so much.
And there was only
likes.
one
You guys are
defendant.
absolutely killing it.
Correct? Donald Trump.
That is correct.
Despite 6 co-conspirators identified in the indictment, only one person was charged. Is that correct?
Yes.
Despite there being an unprecedented criminal scheme, you did not find it necessary to charge anybody else who was admittedly, by your own evidence, involved in a criminal conspiracy that amounted
But they
to...
were already charged with other convictions, dude. What are you talking about? Is he talking about the people in January 6th? Or is he talking about, like, Trump's staff?
An unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy.
Yes, at the time of the conclusion of our work, my lawyers had determined, had believed that we did have proof to charge other people. I was in the process of making that determination when our work was concluded. But you are correct that the only person charged in this case was Donald Trump, who, in my estimation, was the person most culpable for the crimes charged.
Well, I understand your position,
Great
sir,
answer.
but again, you started at the very top and only charged the top conspirator, in your opinion. You didn't charge anybody underneath him, correct?
Correct.
Despite that charge requirement, you would agree that a criminal conspiracy federally is a criminal agreement, correct?
Yes.
So by extension, people, under your theory, people besides the president were involved in the unprecedented assault on American democracy, but you didn't find it necessary to charge them criminally.
I had not yet charged anyone besides the president.
You decided not to charge anybody but Donald Trump in that indictment.
Consistent with the federal principles of prosecution, which emphasize the degree of someone's culpability in making a charging decision, Donald Trump is the person that was charged.
I understand that. I understand your position, but you made the decision to charge one person and nobody else, correct?
I made the decision to make the charges in this case.
In regards to the way that the case handled from there, sir, I just want to get this on the record. In regards to your press conference, politics played no role, correct?
That is correct.
The charges you brought, politics played no role, correct?
Correct.
The expedited trial date played no role. Politics played no role, correct?
I followed the facts and the law, department policy.
The speedy trial request, there was no role in politics, correct?
That's correct. Supreme Court precedent emphasizes that.
And even your brief that the court found atypical, politics played no role.
Mr. Chairman, the time has expired.
The time of the gentleman has expired. The gentlelady from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for being here today. I believe it's important for the American people to finally hear from you directly about your investigations that you and your office conducted with integrity, following the facts and the law without fear or favor, as is department policy. And as people do hear from you, I think they're going to better understand why the White House and congressional Republicans are trying to rewrite history and seeking to discredit you and your investigation so that they can help the president avoid accountability for his crimes against the American people. So I'd like to move on from some of these baseless conspiracy theories we've been hearing and focus on your actual work as special counsel. In volume 1 of your report, you concluded that when it became clear that Mr. Trump had lost the election and that lawful means of challenging the election results had failed, he resorted to a series of criminal efforts to retain power. Chief among those criminal efforts was Mr. Trump's dissemination of demonstrably and often obviously false claims of election fraud in key states, claims that Donald Trump himself knew weren't true. In order to pressure officials to ignore vote tallies and submit fraudulent certificates of fake electors to Congress, he repeated these false claims and ultimately used them to direct an angry mob to attack the Capitol. So I represent southeastern Pennsylvania, which was one of the states targeted by Mr. Trump's criminal efforts. So being mindful of the clock, I wanted to try to explore 3 topics. First, the evidence that Trump made false claims of election fraud in Pennsylvania, knowing they were false. Second, the evidence concerning the submission of fake elector certificates from Pennsylvania to Congress. And third, why the evidence and witnesses concerning Trump's efforts in Pennsylvania were so compelling. So first up, in your report and deposition, you detailed the overwhelming evidence that Trump had lost Pennsylvania.
I think we're probably, what time is it? Let me check the time real quick. We are probably, we're probably gonna head out for the night. I have another stream happening at 6 p.m. tomorrow that you guys won't want to miss. I'll probably cover the rest of this and go through a rightoid of the day. We just had so much we had to cover today that we had to cover a rightoid of the day. We weren't able to cover our rightoid of the day. Biotech, thank you so much for being such an amazing fan. I really appreciate all the love and support you've been giving me today, man. I mean, it is just impressive. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. Don't I dare go off the air? 7 minutes. All right. I'll wait. I can wait a little bit longer, but I am going to raid into IRI. If you guys don't know who IRI is, he is an absolutely amazing YouTuber. Go check IRI out. He's pretty great. He is pretty great. Oz, you're TDS tired. Oh yeah, I'm just so tired. Here, I will save in the game real quick too. Gamer time. Save right there. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Go check out How Do I Donate? I will set up donation links this weekend. How about that? Because a lot of people have been asking to donate, so I will set up donation links this weekend. So look forward to that, guys. Look forward to that. Anyways, I am out of here. I'm gonna play the Elder Scrolls music and depart. My headphones are dying as well, so might as well just wrap it up here. I know, I'm not quite at the 3-hour mark, but I think we can make it work. Yeah, YouTube takes 30%, but I'm not even close to the 500 subscribers, but I am getting there. So get excited for that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, Elder Scrolls music, and I'm out, ladies and gentlemen.
From like 300,000.
Nope, that's actually IRI. Go check IRI out. It's super cool. We love our C-SPAN out here. Anyways, peace.